black youth. Proof. Proof. Kick the truth to the young black youth. Proof. Proof. Kick the truth to the young black youth. Proof. Proof.
How's everybody feeling? Y'all already know what it is. It's the Proof in the Pudding podcast show. And I'm excited about today's show because I had the pleasure of knowing this young woman for a while now in the game, yo. And she's definitely a trailblazer, definitely inspiring and innovating other women to do their thing. So we're celebrating Black excellence, yo. I've known her for a while. She's done a lot in the fashion industry and the beauty and fashion world. And not only is she in the fashion industry, she's definitely going to talk tonight about ministry, the prophetic gift that she walks in and things like that. She's definitely a legend in the game. You know, she definitely doesn't need an introduction. But for those that may not know her, I'd like to present today Chynadahl Malandie. How you feeling today?
Hey, how are you? I'm super excited to be up here. Super excited.
It's a pleasure
I've been waiting.
It's a pleasure to definitely have you up here. So for the people that may not be familiar, let's let them know a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
All right. I was born and bred here in Raleigh, good old Raleigh, North Carolina, here in the South. I grew up basically when I was younger, I grew up in like the Method Projects. I don't know if y'all know what that is. Yeah, I grew up there, and I mean, I had a lot of loving family around me. I had a very good, childhood. For the most part, until things change. But of course, we're gonna get into that. But yeah, I had a great childhood, great family. I come from a very tight knit family, very tight knit, and they love the Lord. Like these people, they just break out singing gospel songs. I mean, you can be in the middle of a cookout. That's just the kind of family I got. So yeah, very, very nice childhood growing up.
Okay, and that's the thing. So you definitely tight knit family and stuff like that. So let's take it to the beginning because I understand you first got into the industry and all through a love for singing.
Yes, actually, yeah, a lot of people do not know that about me. My first love is music. I love to write music, love to write poetry. And at first it started off as poetry, but then it turned into me learning how to write songs. And basically my mom, I want to say she was the catalyst for a lot of things in my life, but she definitely was the catalyst for music because you ever know, like when you little and your parents were like, my baby can sing. And then they make you go sing in the choir and you don't want to. They're like, and they throw you up there. You better sing, baby. You better sing. And that's literally what my mom did to me. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. She just said, you can do it. She told me open my mouth. And then when it came out, everybody was like, what? Like they couldn't believe it was coming out of 8-year-old. So that was my first time realizing, like, wait a minute, there might be something with this singing here. So yeah, that was my first love. Music is my first love before fashion.
So that works right there. So music is the first love. You're singing in the church. Let me ask, what range did you sit in? Were you in the tenor, the alto, soprano?
Actually, I took opera when I was in school. I sang in an ensemble. And so yeah, I did opera for a long time. And I was high soprano. I can still sing alto, But yeah, I always was getting soprano parts all the time, and everybody would stick me in soprano. So I was like, well, I guess I'm a soprano then.
Right. Wow. So you say you started at 8 years old.
Yeah, 8 years old. I want to say that I grew up with a family that was deep into music. And
Okay.
so, like, I grew up listening to like the Temptations, Aretha Franklin, like the old school, Smokey Robinson. I grew up listening to that. You know what I'm saying? And then sort of like closer to, I want to say like going into like the early 90s, I was listening to like CC Peniston and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up around like listening to what's that? TLC, Subway, SWV. This is what I grew up listening to, real music, real music. And so I will fashion myself off of that. But I don't think I really fell in love with music and fashion until like they created MTV. And yeah, I am old enough to know when they created MTV. Don't be laughing at me.
Yeah. Salute the MTV, salute the crews. Just check in. Salute the crews.
Yes. And so that and Video Soul. Once they
Video
created those
song.
two shows, oh, I was stuck in front of the TV trying to learn every song I could. And so
Wow.
I fashioned myself, and I'm gonna be honest, first music video I saw with a woman was Madonna, Material Girl.
Material girl.
Yep. And David Bowie. And I was like, what kind of music is that? I had never heard rock music.
Right.
And I was like, what? I said, Mom, what is that? She said, I don't know, and I don't care.
She wasn't feeling it. She's like, we ain't doing that over here. No, because
Right.
you
She
said
was
they
like,
listen to Motown.
right. She said, if I don't know what the words are saying, I ain't listening to it. But I've always been very different and very open-minded. So I listened to everything. Like, I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to listen to rock. I'm going to listen to jazz, symphony. I'm going to listen to all of it. So yeah,
Right.
my real love started with music.
Okay. So you said you did a little opera and stuff like that. So how long were you trained? And what was that experience like, being in an opera, black girl and
Oh,
opera?
you want to know the truth? The
Right.
truth was that I had to eat a certain way, right? I
Right.
had to take care of my vocals all the time. And and at that time in my life, I kept getting something called streptococcus. I kept
Uh,
getting it all the time. I was like stressing my vocals out really, really bad.
right.
And it got to the point where I was always like in the hospital because I'm getting that or I'm getting bronchitis. And so my mom sort of had to make a decision to sort of like, okay, you can sing, at church, or you can sing opera, but you can't do both because you're going to really mess up your vocals. And she was scared of me messing up my voice for good.
Right.
And so eventually I had to just choose one. So I just stuck with gospel. And I still know how to do opera, but I just don't do it that much.
Wow. Okay. All right. So let me ask you right there. We got a question in the comments right there. But let me
Okay.
ask you, okay, so your gospel is your love, right? It's your passion,
Right.
your root right there. What's one of your favorite gospel songs?
Okay. The Clark sisters.
The Clark
You
Sisters.
brought the sunshine.
Yeah. If for the
Like
people that
everybody
for
used
the
to say
people
that.
that may have never heard it, can you give them a little bit of what that song sounds like?
Oh man. You brought the sunshine in my life. The lifeline. You brought the sunshine. Yes, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
You
that's
got
that's
look,
what.
don't laugh at my voice now, because I don't be singing like that no more.
Yo, no. See, the thing is, all right, I will put the question back up, right? Because I just did some interview trick right there. The question was, let's get a taste of the vocals.
Oh, okay. Now I can actually do something a little bit better, but let's see. Jesus, 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 there is something about that name, Master, Savior, Jesus, like a fragrance after the rain. Jesus, 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 let all heaven and earth proclaim kings and kingdoms shall all pass away, but there's something about that name.
Wow. That's real right there. And there's definitely something about the name right there. And I can tell that you definitely
Yes.
have a relationship because the anointing is there. You know, you sing it from your soul, you sing it from your heart. And it's
Oh,
definitely
absolutely. Absolutely. There's no way you're going to be in the house of God and not feel the Spirit of God. But when
right.
you've been through the stuff I've been through, you know what you know, what you know.
That's a fact right there. And I'm definitely looking
That,
forward to that. I'm definitely looking forward to that right there because we're gonna get into all of that right there. So we was talking about the early beginnings, right? You was doing
right.
the orchestra, you opera and stuff like that, where you
Yeah.
testing your voice, you was high soprano and things like that. So what happened next? So now that you started singing, did you start get into the choir? Did you start singing leads and stuff like that now?
Okay.
What was that
Yeah.
experience like?
Yeah, actually, when I was in I started singing in the gospel choir, and me and my mom at that point in time, she was still married. So eventually, what happened was, whenever she got well, when they decided they were going to change churches, because the churches we were going to were sort of far out, in the
Right.
sticks. And so my stepdad was like, "Look, why don't you come to my church that I grew up in?" And so I ended up going to that church, Maple Temple United Church of Christ. It's over there off of Dacian Road.
Off of Dacian
And
Road.
so we ended up going there. And when we got there, my mom was just so moved by being there. She saw all these kids in there and she had this bright idea. She was like, "The Lord told me to start a children's choir." And that's sort of where I start to gain an understanding of like being able to arrange songs and being able to work, because I was like her assistant. And
Right.
so I would help her find songs, I would help her write songs, I would help her come up with things. And so a lot of times, because I was not nervous, like I never had stage fright, not ever. And so she would put me up front and I would end up doing a lot of leads because I was the one kid in the choir that wasn't really that shy.
Right.
And so I just got used to it. So people, I could just be in a whole nother program and they'd be like, "Oh, Malandie can sing," and then they throw me up on stage.
Wow.
And it just happens so much. And I even try, that whole thing that us Black folks try when you come in the church and you don't want to really be bothered, you sit at the back.
Right.
Oh, I tried that. That don't work. When you
Wow.
when you out here and you in the prophetic, even when you don't know it. I used to be like, "Yo, how they know I was back here?" Like I tried to hide, I tried to lay down in the pew. Oh, none of that worked.
Yeah, that worked.
You
That
gonna
worked.
sing today?
Right. Especially when they can see, if somebody's a seer, they can see the gift, and it's like, again, when we
Well,
talk about the
thank
light
you.
of, we talk about the light of God, it's like, yeah, you can't hide that. No matter how many times you try to dim yourself down, you may walk into
Yes,
a new ministry. Like, I'm just here to
yes.
check it out. I don't want nobody, incognito.
Right, right. And you know what? I ran for so long. And then it was to the point where it was like every time, like, I don't care who you are, if God got something for you, he's got it for you. So I was singing in the choir, but then it was like, "Oh, Malandie, she's good with numbers." And I was like, "How do you know I'm good with numbers?" "Oh, baby, it's in your anointing. You good with numbers. You know how to count money." I said, "Yes, ma'am." "Okay, you the church secretary."
Wow.
Then I'm like the secretary, and then I'm teaching Sunday school. So it just was like ever flowing, me doing things in my community, and it became normal to me. And
Right.
at any given time, we had like a ton of kids staying at the house with us when they had to sing. My mom would always give out like these like treat bags, full of like candy and stuff. That
Right.
church candy. She'd
Right.
just be giving out treat bags and stuff. And at that time, I don't think me and my mother realized what we were doing in that neighborhood,
Right.
because some of these kids don't have food to eat. Some of these kids' parents are on drugs. Like, we're not realizing what we were doing. We were doing it because we just wanted to make God happy. We were doing it because we love the kids. And, God just turned it into something totally different. So,
All right. And let's be clear, we're talking about Dacian Road, right?
yep, Deja Rowe.
Dacian Road, one of the realest places in Raleigh. You think about
Yep.
the 90s, they got a history
Yes,
over there.
everybody went there. Maple Temple was a spot, boy.
Right. So to be in that community, be in that area, helping out, giving back to the kids, I know that was a wonderful thing right there. Because like you
Oh,
said,
yeah.
the area that they living in, it was a lot of danger back then. A
It
lot of,
was
crime,
a lot of
a lot of
drugs,
drugs.
right?
So,
Yes, it was bad.
that's
It
real.
was a bad area then, and Melvitt Court too. As a
Another
matter of
point.
fact, when we stayed in one house, uh, there was a drive-by. The guy came out of he drove up out of Melvitt Court and shot our house up, us and the neighbors. And we
Wow.
had nothing to do with anything. But the bullet almost hit my sister. It came an inch from her head, and it was stuck in the wall.
Right. Behind
And
a drug deal going back.
say it again.
It was a drug deal that went wrong, and then
Yeah,
got.
yeah. We found out later. Yes, it was. It was a drug deal that went wrong, and I guess the guy was like trying to run, and he ran in front of our houses, and they were trying to shoot him, but
Right.
end up shooting our houses.
Wow.
And it was so weird because that whole day, I don't know. I just had this feeling like I need to, because the voice of God would talk to me, but I didn't know it was God. You know what I'm saying? So I would hear that voice like a whisper, and it kept telling me, stay on the floor, like play with your dolls, like stay on the floor. And I didn't know why I kept feeling this. And so the one time when my sister's like, oh, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I'll be back. She actually went to the kitchen. And that's when all the shooting started. And I heard the gunshots and I took off running because I knew my sister had went in the kitchen and I could hear the gunshots. And they were going through the house. We heard the glass breaking and everybody in there is like getting on the floor. I'm running to my sister in the kitchen. And literally, like I pushed her over. And when she fell over, we looked back up at that wall and it was like in the wall. Like the bullet was in the wall.
And how old were you?
It was shocking.
How old were you when this happened?
I want to say I was probably about 12.
12
Yeah,
years
probably
old.
about 12, 11 or 12. Yeah.
That was around the first time my first incident.
Yeah, middle school around that time because I went to West Millbrook. So yeah, I was like in middle school around that time.
Okay, so 12 years old, you're seeing a gunshot. It almost could have went real bad, but God blocked it. They
Right,
shooting at your house. Y'all minding y'all business. Got nothing to do with nothing.
Right. We had them playing with our dolls.
Right. Straight bullet comes in. So it's like that kind of takes your reality. Or like a kid, everything is peaceful. Everything is no harm, no danger.
Right.
Now,
no stranger danger.
No stranger danger. Now something like this happens.
Right. It went out the window.
Right.
From that point on, me and my sister was like, the world ain't what we think it is. It was just something that changed in me and her immediately.
Right.
And I don't think we were ever the same after that because it was just a feeling like we gonna come across this again, like a sixth sense. And my sister, she's very discerning. Okay, she has the gift of like strong discernment, and she said, "Sis, I hope that this never happens again. I could have died." I was like, yeah. She said, I hope neither one of us don't die before we get to see like our 20th birthday. She said that.
Wow.
She was like, I don't know, living in this neighborhood, I don't know if we'll make it. And I was like, we gonna make it. Wow. So yeah, it's really bad.
We're talking about the south side of Raleigh. Back then it was definitely real. It definitely could go down any minute. It's still real out in Raleigh.
Like that. Yes, it is. Right. It's still like that. Because a lot of the cats that was out there at that time, I didn't really know them personally at that time. Right. I seen them in the area. I seen them, hustling on the corners. I knew about, stay away from them guys. My mom would say, they dealing drugs, stay away from them. But there was something inside of me that was just like, I don't know. I just sort of knew I was going to pass through this again. You know what I'm saying? So, I always paid attention and I always treated them good. And for nothing, a lot of the drug dealers in the neighborhood knew my mom and they knew that she had the children's choir. And sometimes they would drop by the house and drop off candy, or they would drop by the house and give her a few dollars to help the kids at the church. They be like, Mama D, I'm not going in no church. You know what I'm saying? I ain't into that. I ain't going in no church, but I give you a couple hundred, put it in the tray for me, And that was just the thing. So they respected her a whole lot.
Right.
Even in the hood.
Right.
Right.
And the things that she's doing in the community. So, okay. From there, right. Okay. Around, you get a little older, you're doing the ministry. Right. You branch out. Let's talk a little bit about your singing career, because you branched out for a little while. Pursuing a career in music. Let's talk about that experience and the things you learned and some of the things you seen.
Okay, so basically, my after we had my mom, basically we moved to one other house, and at that point where we moved to that particular house, her and my stepdad, they just couldn't be together no more, because at that time he was on drugs, really, really heavy, and I mean, like I knew at first it was like weed and stuff like that, because I would find like the rolling paper, back then they had the rolling paper, they weren't doing blunt, so like I would find like the rolling paper and things like that, and eventually I start finding needles. And I told my mom, I was like, Mama, I think that, Daddy is on something else. You know what I'm saying? Because I showed her this bag of needles and she was like, oh no, this is it. So the last straw for her was when he went on a binge, he would disappear like sometime for
Right.
a week at a time, maybe 3 days at a time. We had went and did a program at a church. The choir had went and did a program. We came home. We had to go and do our anniversary celebration the very next day.
Right.
We had these beautiful white outfits already laid out, like brand new shoes, brand new hair bows. We're excited. We come in the house and everything in our house was gone. Everything. Our beds, our clothes, everything was out of the house. And me and my mom looked at each other. She said, where's all our furniture? Where's everything?
Right.
And then that's when one of our neighbors was like, yeah, he came in there with like a big U-Haul and took all y'all stuff out. And my mama was like, what? And so we end up finding out he sold all our stuff to people in the neighborhood. And for weeks, we saw people wearing our clothes. We saw people wearing our jewelry, in the hood.
Right.
And it was just devastating to know he had got that bad. And that was
Right.
just when she was like, either I'm going to keep staying here and we're going to end up hurting this man, or I'm going to have to leave. And so she chose, she was like, we leave it. And I said, well, we don't have nowhere to go. She said, we're going to go to a shelter. And we just packed all our stuff, put it, the little bit we had left, we put it in a storage. And that was what she wrote. We end up being homeless.
Wow.
So at that point, once we had been homeless, we were going from for a year, we were homeless, like house to house, you know what I'm saying? Family member to family member, hotel to hotel, living in, trash bags. Cause you got to remember, we had lost everything we had, really. We didn't really have nothing but like album books and things like that, like blankets, things like this, because he took the main pieces, he didn't take like the little things, but he took the main stuff. And so, we're out here just like struggling, she don't really, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She didn't really work all the time like that. She was a stay-at-home mom. And so now she has to get out here again and work. When I was younger, she worked, but when she was married, she didn't. And so now we got to find out what we're going to do. And I mean, we lived in all kinds of places. We lived in like a trap house. Okay. And when we stayed in that trap house, it got shot up. We was in there one day, everybody just in the house chilling, because we didn't have nowhere to go. So we really didn't have a choice. So we in there chilling. And I don't know what it is, but the Lord had me, my mom, and my sister in the back of the house. We were in the back of the house. And the lady that let us stay there, she was a sweet lady and she had like 4 kids. And I'll never forget it. We were all in the house talking. And then someone said, oh, yo, they coming back down the street. And when we heard the commotion and I seen one of the gentlemen come in the house and get his gun, I said, Mama, they about to shoot the house up. And by the time that I had been yelling through the house, everybody get down, everybody. I mean, it was like a machine gun. And when I say they poured bullets over that house, I don't know how anybody walked out of that house alive. It was bullet holes, bullet shells everywhere. And I'm telling you, it was nothing but God. It was nothing but God that we survived that, because that was the second shootout we had been in.
Right.
And this was on State Street. And so like around that time in like the early 90s and stuff, State Street.
Yeah, right. You just didn't do it. If you didn't know nobody over there, you just didn't go over there. And if you did, you didn't stop.
Oh, right. You don't go to State Street unless you straight up trying to fight, get robbed, or you in a gang. You don't go to State Street. Right. And so, it was just to a point where my mom was like, we got to find somewhere to live. And so we just kept living with different people for a while. But eventually we landed in a shelter. I want to say Salvation Army downtown Raleigh. We ended up in a shelter. And once we got to this shelter, and I'll never forget it, they had a men's shelter. I think it was called Raleigh Rescue Mission or something at that time. Right. And it was downtown Raleigh right now near where Morris Square is at. And then the Salvation Army is right behind it, facing Morris Square. And that's where we were at, in the big building. Right. And so when we were staying there, it was really, I can't explain it, but like when you have nowhere to live, like you don't have a roof to call your own, you don't have your own bed, you don't have your own food, you don't know what you're going to eat from day to day. Like You literally are surviving off your faith, off your prayers, and off the kindness of others.
Right.
And so we went through that for a while in the shelter. And there were like other women in the shelter. They were other women in the shelter, and they were hold on, that's my mom. I'm sorry. I'm on the phone. Okay. God bless you, Mom. Good night. Sorry about that. Yeah, she likes to let me know she's going to bed.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was like a bunch of women in there with us. Some of them abuse victims, some of them recovering addicts, but all of them had like a lot of kids. And there was a situation there where during the middle of the winter, it was a snowstorm. I never forget this. It was a snowstorm. It was really bad.
Right.
None of the employees showed up. And so we had not ate all day. And the kids were mad. They were crying. They were irritated. And my mom was like, you know, she's the empower. She empower people. She's like,
Right.
look, who can break into something? We're going to break into the kitchen. So my mom was like, she went and got this one lady, you know, she was like this little short lady, but she was sort of thick. She said, you look like you can break into something. Let's go. And so we went downstairs and they broke into the kitchen. And so my mom was like, look, y'all help me come in here and get these cans and these beans, and I'm gonna cook y'all something and we gonna eat. They said, ain't you scared you're gonna get in trouble, Miss Watson? They gonna kick you and your daughters out the shelter? She said, they better not. She said, they left us in here with no food, hardly nothing to drink. She lucky. She said, they lucky I didn't call the news people on them.
Right.
And she said, baby, she said, help me feed all these people. And I thought to myself, like, my mom always got me serving people all the time. Like, oh, I don't want to do it. You know, like when you're little, you get irritated. Right. And so I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Like, and so I'm just doing it. I'm always very obedient to my mom. Right. So I'll never forget it when one of the ladies said, you know what, Miss Watson? That's a good idea. Let me call the news station. And so they called the news station. It was a whole thing. Like they showed up and it was like, yeah, girl, we had to break in there and get some food out. They didn't feed us. And for a little while, they was under fire about that situation.
Right. All right. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Time out. Yeah. We black. We in Raleigh. This is Raleigh, right?
Yes.
All right.
This is Raleigh.
All right. So you said we don't want to say the name of the shelter. I don't want to say the name of the shelter. But I'm pretty sure they had somebody that was a supervisor over this situation, right? Right. So now the news come. Now the heat is on them, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now the news people leave. The news people leave. It's your family and friends that brought the news. Right. What was that lady's reaction to y'all after news left? Like, I know she was.
Oh man! So there was there was a Caucasian lady. And it was a African-American lady. The African-American lady, she went to the bathroom and she pulled us in there and she was clapping. She was like, look, she said, I've been seeing them people take stuff from y'all that they should have been given to y'all. I've seen them treating y'all all kinds of way because y'all in here homeless. She said, I'm glad y'all did that because somebody needed to know what they was doing. Because she had mentioned to us that they had cars and everything that were donated to them. And they were supposed to give it to the women in the shelter because everybody there had more than 2 kids. And my mom was the only one with 2 kids. Right. And she said, they didn't give that to y'all. They kept that stuff for themselves. And that's when I realized everything ain't what it seemed like. You know, you see them on TV and you be like, oh, they're so awesome. They help people. But until you in it, you don't know it. But the Caucasian lady, oh, she was mad. She was hated. And I was so scared she would kick us out in the street. But she was like, well, I guess I would have done the same thing if I didn't have food to eat. I was like, you think? You know?
That's a fact. Like, you gotta eat.
Right. You gotta eat. You can't be like putting people in here and you're not feeding them. Like, what's your problem? Like, so she was mad because they put a fire on her because she was the main supervisor. And she wasn't trying to feel that fire. So I was like, well, I'm glad she felt that fire. But not too long after that, you know what I mean? Me and my sister, we decided like, yo, we got to get out of here. Like, we're not doing this no more. And that's sort of when me and my sister sort of got to like doing sideways stuff. You know, we was like, we about to hustle.
All right, hold on. So at this point, right?
Right.
Did y'all choose Did y'all choose the thug life or did the thug life choose you at this point, right?
We chose the thug life.
You chose the
So,
thug life.
yeah, we chose it, and it was out of survival. It
Right.
was not because we wanted to. It was not because we found it attractive. It was not because we wanted all this money. We didn't want gold chains, nothing. It
Right.
was straight up survival mode. Like, hey, I do not want to live outside. I do not want to keep going from hotel to hotel. I do not want my mom to be crying every night. Like, we heard her cry every night. Every
Right.
night. She would pray and she would cry
Right.
every night. And it just was tearing me and my sister apart. Like, we got to get out of here, sis. Like, I don't care where we're going to stay. It can be in a rooming house. It can be wherever. We got to get out of here.
Right.
And so that's sort of when me and my sister was like, okay, we about to make something happen. So, we start sort of reaching out to some of our friends that was from our old neighborhood, like Nation Road, Apollo Heights. We start reaching out to
Right.
some of the people.
Right.
Like,
Right.
yo, y'all got, you got some stuff, you know what I'm saying? So we can move some stuff. Now,
Right.
my sister, she was real chill about things. And she was more like, I'm gonna just say it like it is. She was the weed head. She was a weed
Right.
head. And I was into like, I never did, that song that Biggie had out, like, don't never get high on your own supply. I
Right.
took that literal, like, seriously, I took it literally. Like, I would not do it. They used to get mad at me, like a lot of drug dealers were like, you ain't gonna smoke with us. I'm like, no, no. But I was the girl that I'm curious cat. And
Right.
so, like, they might say, hey, we got some X, or we got this, or we got that. I'm like, oh, I'm that girl. Oh, I want to try it.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
want to see
All
what that's like.
right. Pause.
So,
Pause right there. Pause right there. Real quick. Right.
okay,
Just for the watchers. Right. Just for the watchers.
right.
Around that age, you said you was curious.
Yes.
I'm the person. Yo, y'all got that? Let's get it.
Okay.
All right. So okay. So then you said, all right, you was the one that would try it, right?
Yeah, I'll try
So
anything once and then let it go if I don't like it.
all right, okay. So let's now, with your age now and the wisdom and stuff like that, like we know the dangers and all that, right? But for the
Right.
young people, they don't see the dangers. So at this moment, you ain't seeing no dangers. Like y'all tried, it sounds
No,
fun.
not at that moment, I wasn't seeing the danger. No.
Right. So okay, at that point, what was your drug of choice at that moment in your life?
I was never like really on drugs, but if I wanted to do something, I would do like X. You know what I'm saying? I would do X, or I would drink heavy alcohol.
Okay.
But I never to a point of getting drunk. It was weird because I was always the one in every group. I was always the one that was like the designated driver or something. Like,
Right.
everybody else in the car is high. Everybody else is feeling good. Everybody done got high for whatever they done got high off, coke, whatever they high for. And I'm the one in the car that is not high, getting a contact, and everybody asking me to stop and buy them burgers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was that chick.
Okay.
Because they just knew there was something about me a little different. And they would be like, yo, China don't do that. You know what I'm saying? They would just say it. They'd be like, China don't do that. You know what I'm saying? She
Right.
probably want a bottle of water, and they be laughing at me and stuff like that. The dudes in the hood used to laugh at me about that. You know what I'm saying? Be like, yo, everybody out here got a 40, but here go Chynadahl with a boom phone. Like,
Right. Wow. Wow. So you knew your limits. You said, yo, I'm gonna play around, but I still gotta be on point.
right,
I still gotta stay focused. I ain't trying to
right. Right,
right.
because the word in the street is like, yo, you'll get got, you know what I'm saying? You get robbed or whatever. And so I knew like quite a few like gang members and stuff. And a lot of them were the ones that were like sort of teaching me and my sister like how to chop stuff up, how to cook it, how to, you know what I'm saying, like get it moving.
Right.
All this is going on because we're like trying to get out of a situation and help my mama through the situation. And I remember her look on her face one time when I brought her like this wad of money.
Right.
And she looked at me and she said, this better be something somebody gave you. And I was like, yeah, somebody gave it to me. Don't worry about it, mama. She's like, is it illegal? And I was like, no. I told her a bold-faced lie. And I do not like to lie. But I
Right.
told her a lie because I was like, if she find out that I'm out here hustling like this, and my sister out here hustling with me,
Right.
she gonna have a holy conniption.
Right.
So at this point, it was just like we started to get around some really dangerous people. Now, my sister, dangerous people, but not as dangerous as the people I was around.
Right. Wow.
I sort of flirt with danger, and I don't know, because I'm curious. I'm
Right. So you
curious.
either go hard or go home type of person. Like if I'm gonna go, I'm going all the
Right,
way. All right.
right. I'm gonna put it all out there on the floor, and
Right.
then when I'm tired, I'll drop back. Like, oh, okay, I'm done. I did it till I'm crazy. I'm done. And
Right.
so, it had got to a point where we definitely knew we was around some people we shouldn't have been around. So one of my experiences, I want to say I was at this point, I was probably about 17, 18 around this time. And so one of my closest friends when I was in high school, his brother was in a gang. And we all lived like right around the same neighborhood. We could walk to each other's houses. And I remember his brother was going to put me on to some folks from Miami that was like moving like heavyweight, because he was like, yo, if you start moving stuff, like you just traffic stuff, like basically you move it for us, you'll get paid more money. That's more money than, someone passing it on the corner, or you getting someone to sell it for you on the corner. Like, you start moving stuff, you're going to make some serious dough. So me, I'm always motivated. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. So for me, I'm looking at it like, oh, I'm about to really get my business popping so I can really get in a better situation. And not knowing that was just the devil. Like that.
Right.
Right. It was just the devil. So, you know how like God will give you a warning before destruction? He will always give you a warning before destruction. And so my warning was my really good friend, his brother, like I said, he was going to turn me on to some stuff. He had came to our school one day. I went to Enloe. He came to our school and he was flashing all this money around some of these, Caucasian girls that was there. He was flashing money, whatever. He just flashing his money. Yeah, look what I got. He pulled up in his like red car. He had a Mustang. He pulled up in his car. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Throwing up gang signs and stuff. He got his gun in his waist, everything at the school. Everybody like, oh, he's so cool. He's so cool, And I was like, the Lord spoke to me in spirit and he was like, don't be like him. Wow. Don't floss like him. Right. Don't show what you have like him. And I don't know why the Lord, was telling me this, but I just sort of didn't think too much of it. I go home, walk my friend home. We went to my house. We're at my house. We looking at TV because that was our routine. Like we would get in from school. They would go in there and they start, they might roll their blunt or something outside on the porch and we all talking and cracking jokes. So this particular day, we all, sitting on the porch, we ain't really thinking nothing. And we hear like gunshots. And it's like, pow, 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 pow. I mean, like very consecutive. Right. And we was like, wait a minute. That sounds like that's around the corner. So we're like sort of scared to go down the street to see what's going on because we heard the gunshots for quite some time. It was pretty loud. Right. And so I heard my phone ring and I was like, my phone was ringing and I looked down and it was my best friend. He said, I need y'all to call the police. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, they shot my brother, call the police. And I said, where are you? He said, I'm under a car. And so when he told us he was under the car, we was like, what car? He said, the car in front of the apartment. So literally, like when we heard that, me and my other friend, Jeremy, we ran down the street to go find him. And so we're looking and we see a car and then we see the door and it's like the glass is gone. We see like bullet holes and we're like, oh my God, did they come back and kill him? And he like slowly like start calling our name. And that's when we pulled him off from under this car. He said, yo, my brother's in the house, my brother in the house. And me and my friend looked at each other like, I'm not going in that house. So when he went in the house, now by this time I done called 911. We're standing outside. The police are pulling up. I remember like yesterday, he walked in the house and we just heard a scream. Like we knew something bad had happened to his brother. And so we never walked in. We just sort of stood out there. And that's when the cops start walking up and, they making everybody move and clear the scene. And they, want to question us or whatever. And my mom's like, well, you can come question my daughter at the house. She said, she's not staying here. She said, well, just in case somebody else is watching, I don't want them thinking my daughter got nothing to do with anything. So, mama always in mama mode, she took me back to the house. Right. So about 2 days after all this sort of calmed down, and everything, his mother, now this changed my life. His mother came to the house and she said to my mom, she said, Miss Deborah, can you please come and help me clean my apartment? There's blood everywhere and I can't clean up my son's blood. I just can't do it. So me and my mom went and got buckets and we walked into the house and there was blood everywhere. Bullet holes in the walls. I will never forget that feeling. Right. And I thought to myself, is this what's like going to happen if I keep going down this road? Like, will this be me?
Right.
And that was God giving me warning before destruction.
Right.
But of course, because I'm Evo Knievo, I'm just going to see it and I'm going to go right into it.
Right. That's the limit right there. What about now? That's the limit?
Oh, no. Never again. No. And, for me, it was just like, that should have stopped. That would have stopped most people. But not me and my sister. No, we hard-headed, we stubborn. It's not going to stop us. We're going to make this money and we getting us out of the hood. That was our determination. So, eventually we move out of that particular neighborhood.
Right.
And we move over to another neighborhood, like I was telling you earlier about being on State Street. Right. So eventually, we were able to first we moved up from Cook Street to East Lane Street, which was right, like they crossed over each other. Right, and we stayed in a rooming house there that was down the street from Shaw University. And when we stayed there, it was actually pretty decent there. It was pretty decent life. Right. And it was okay. We stayed in like a one big room, all three of us, but we were happy. We didn't have to share no food with no people. We had a roof over our head. We were like, okay, good. Now we can start hustling. Or at least that's what we tell our mom until we have, bigger needs. So what we did was we sort of slowed down, but we didn't completely stop.
Right.
Now,
it fell back a little bit.
Right. So it was sort of like, okay, well, we in a house, but just in case, I'm going to keep them contacts going, and I'm always keep some weed or some drugs on me. So, I can move it if I need to, just in case. Because, me and my sister's biggest fear was being homeless again. That was our fear, like being homeless or getting shot or killed. That was our thing. Right. And so we stayed there for a while. And I remember one of our neighbors, he was a drug dealer. See how the devil works? Like, our neighbor was a drug dealer, big time, over there in that neighborhood. And I remember him showing us all the dope he had. He's like, oh, y'all can come over here and get it anytime. Gave us a key to the place and everything. Come and get it anytime. You can move it anytime. And then one of the guys I was dating, he was a drug dealer. So it was just everywhere. It was all around me and my sister. Like, we were in the middle of it, seriously. So yeah, it was crazy.
So we know about the dangers that come with that lifestyle. What's some of the most times where it's like they had you shook, where it's like, I might not make it? What's some of the moments in your life where it could have went bad?
Right. I will tell you there are 3 instances. Okay, and they stand out really, really strong. The first one was, there was a guy that wanted to talk to me. He knew I hustled for some Jamaicans because I worked for some Jamaicans. Like I told you, I have my hands in a lot of stuff. So I was dealing with some Jamaicans, and the Jamaicans were real tight. My mom, she knew who they were, but she won't messing with them because she knew what they were capable of. And so, I was doing some errands for them. And one day they were like, yeah, there's a new guy in this neighborhood. He want to do some work with us, whatever. I need you to go over here and drop this off, whatever. So I'm thinking it's just like a drop off, whatever. I'm going to go over there, drop it off, and be on my way. So I go over there, and he's trying to, holler at me. And I'm like, oh, okay, normal guy stuff. I didn't think nothing much of it. Right. And then he was like, nah, you don't understand. He said, BITCH, you don't get it. Like, you ain't leaving this house till you give me some, some booty or whatever. And I said, nigga, you been smoking? You smoking meth? Like, I was taken back. Like, I was really taken back because it just came out of nowhere. And he said, nah, you're not going nowhere. I said, nigga, please, I'm out. I said, just give me the money so I can go. He said, I ain't giving you, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, give me the money, because I'm not going back to these Jamaicans without their money. You know what I'm saying? These niggas ain't gonna kill me. Right. And so I swear, like I turned around maybe like a second to turn around and walk off with my back turned to him. He starts shooting at me. When I tell you, I was in high heel shoes. I'd never forget it. I was in high heel shoes running for my life. And it was crazy because his brother jumped up and was like, nigga, what you doing? And he was still shooting. He almost shot his own brother. And so I got away, and the Jamaicans had heard the shooting, and they went up the street to find out what was going on. And I had told them, I was like, yo, that dude, he shot at me. And so long story short, come to find out, that this dude had been raping girls in that neighborhood. And he was on the run from New York.
Wow.
So I literally was around a serial rapist and didn't even know it.
Didn't even know.
Didn't even know it. This is a guy that had killed women. He had killed women that he raped. And so I got away. You would think I would stop, but I'm like, no, we're going to get this money and we're going to get completely out of the hood. We're going to get this money. We're going to get out of the hood. So the next instance was, it was some of my friends that was in the gang or whatever. And they want to just go to like a cookout one day. They was like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? We'll come pick you up. We can go to a cookout. I'm like, oh yeah, cause I like to eat.
Right.
So even when I was skinny, I eat like a man. So
Wow.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. So I get in the car. So there's one guy in the driver's seat. There's another guy sitting beside me in the back seat. And you know, they smoking their blunts. They got, at that time it's like DMX. So cause I lived to his soundtrack. That was my soundtrack, DMX, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So like that was it. Me and my sister, that's all we listened to was DMX and the Rough Riders. So
Right.
we riding around, we listen to X like, you know. And so we pull up to this guy's house or whatever. And he like, yo, man, we need to get some liquor or whatever. I'm like, oh, y'all can do that liquor. That's cool, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Give me some bone fun. That was my thing.
Right.
Right. So I'm like, you know, give me one of them and get me some lollipops. You know, those big candy lollipops. So I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
I want. So we're sitting in there. I'm thinking, you know, all is cool. So they go get the guy. They bring him out to the car. He's like, what's up, my nigga? What's up? You know, he giving everybody a handshake. What's up back there, princess? You know what I'm saying? How you doing? You know, and I'm just like, what up? You know, nothing much. Everything seemed normal.
Right.
So then he started asking the guy about something that was driving. He asked the guy that was driving something. And the guy that was driving said, no, man, I ain't looked into that yet. He's like, man, when you gonna look into that? I really need that. I need that, man. Like, what you doing, man? I gave you my money. What's good? And then he was like, my nigga, I don't want to talk about that right now. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't need to know that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the driver was getting like irritated. And, you know, we're not really thinking about it at that time. So we're back there just sort of talking and cracking jokes. We're not thinking about it. But then I hear that voice again, that same still quiet voice in my head. I hear it. And it's like, you need to get out of this car.
Oh,
and I sort of was stunned because I knew I heard the voice tell me to get out the car.
Right.
But I was so like shocked because it sounds so audible. It was really loud in my ear. It sounded audible, like someone was sitting beside me, but it wasn't the guy beside me. And so it sort of stunned me. And so while I'm stunned, the guy in the front seat's like, man, I ain't going with you nowhere, man. I ain't going nowhere with you. You can't even give me my money, man. I've been waiting, man. Them niggas, you know, I don't want them niggas coming after me. Like he's talking like that. And the guy that was in the driver's seat pulled out a gun and shot him point blank in the head, like in the face. When I say brains went everywhere,
Wow.
everywhere. I never knew what a brain smelled or looked like until that day. And I mean, it went like, some of it went in my mouth, like a fragment went in my mouth. And there was like blood on everybody.
Right.
And I was so traumatized. I just was sitting there with blood everywhere. And I was just sitting there. I was just so traumatized. Like it was like time stopped. Like it just stopped. Like time just stopped. And so the guy in the back seat was like, what did you do? Like, what just happened? He said, man, I was tired of hearing that nigga talk. Plus, I had that nigga money. I took that money and spent it on some hoe. And I said, wait a minute. He just killed this dude over money he owed the dude over a girl he spent the money on. And we in the car.
Right.
It was just so traumatizing. And I remember saying to myself, you know what he said to us? He turned around, looked at us. He was like, yo, look, you can see his skull. And he started poking at it. He said, look at that. Look, you can see his skull. That nigga ain't got no brain left. That nigga didn't have a brain when he was alive. And joked about it. And so, like, that just, it triggered something in me. Like, I could not understand why he did what he did. And so at this point, he goes, well, I'm not cleaning this car up. Y'all are. So he had some friends show up. We went down some road and he literally took the man out the car. I don't know where they took it to. Don't know where they took it to. And we had to take the car and clean it. And when I tell you the whole time I'm fighting not to throw up consistently, and my friend was looking at me and he was like, yo, we can't be around him. I said, no, you think?
Right.
And then he was like, we can go to jail for this. We like an accessory.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't even know what that was, honestly. I'm just being real. At that time, I didn't know what that was.
Right.
I just knew I wanted to get out of here, but I knew if I act like a punk, they be done shot me.
Right.
And so I had to do what I had to do. And so the last instance that I think was like a very big changing moment for me was some of the Jamaicans that I was working with. We was out there one night. We were just hanging out or whatever. We was hanging like on a stoop over there on State Street.
Right.
And we were all just talking. It was one guy all the way to the immediate right, my boyfriend at that time in the middle of us talking, and then me on the left-hand side. And so we just talking, we laughing, and they making jokes and stuff. And this old guy, it looked like an old guy with dreadlocks, he walked up to us and he asked us for a lighter. And I remember thinking to myself, that's random. Why would he ask my man for a lighter, knowing that my man, he don't really be keeping his lighter on him, and everybody jokes about that in the neighborhood, like
Right.
they be like, nigga, you don't never have a lighter. But
Right.
for some reason, this particular day, he had a lighter, and the guy was, oh, thanks, man, thanks for the lighter. And then my boyfriend was like, yeah, no problem, man. And he started back talking to us, and all I know, I seen something silver shining in the light. Like in the street light, you could see it.
Right.
And all I remember was seeing fire come out of it. And it was like, bow, bow, bow. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, this guy is about to shoot all three of us.
Right.
He shot my boyfriend. He went falling back. He fell back and landed on the concrete. The guy took off running up the sidewalk going up the driveway, and the other Jamaican guy pulled his gun out and he starts shooting. And then the people in the car proceeded to shoot back at us. By this time, I had got on the ground and I'm literally like pulling my boyfriend's body to the edge of the steps.
Right.
Because at this point, it's like survival of the fittest. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't take everybody with me, but I'm going to try to get my boyfriend down these steps so maybe he can live, because I knew he had got like 3 shots. I saw him. And so once the people drove off, we're taking him down to the trap house, because by this time his friend is like, yo, we got to have the guns. We got to flush these drugs. Like y'all see that stuff on TV and think that stuff is, no, that come from somebody went through that.
Right.
Somebody went through that, and they're coming from their experience and they're telling y'all that this happened to me. So like, he's getting rid of the drugs. He's flushing down the coke. He's getting rid of everything. He's grabbing the beepers. He's grabbing all our phones. Like, he's trying to get everything out of here that is incriminating. Right. And so by this time, a couple of guys had helped us put him on the floor in the living room. And I remember holding his hand and like, baby, stay woke, baby, please keep focused on me, stay woke. And I remember looking at the bullet holes and looking at the blood, thinking, he gonna die in my arms. Like, I was terrified. Like, he's gonna die in my arms.
Right.
And so I remember thinking, because the Jamaican guy, he's like, yo, I'm gonna go run and take this money to your mom. And so my mom, she was able to take the money and hide it. You know what I'm saying? Because he had to get it away from where it was. Right. And so, he was like, I put it with your mom. He's like, so now you got to go. And I was like, but I don't want to leave him. He said, get out. So I remember I jumped up and he had passed out on the floor. He was unconscious. And, they always tell you, like, if somebody gets shot, don't let them go unconscious. Like, keep them woke, keep them alert. And I just knew he was going to die. You want to know how God works? Even when you're hard-headed, even when you're stubborn, even when you're not seeing the warning signs, you know what God did? 2 of the bullets one went into his gut. Right. One went into the top of his lung. It collapsed. They were able to get it back, to working condition. Right. The last bullet literally took off a 1/4 inch of his heart. Wow. And this man lived. You know what he told me when I was in the hospital to go visit him? He said, me and you can't be boyfriend, girlfriend no more. I'm not selling drugs no more. And I suggest you stop. Wow. He was like, if you don't stop, you're going to end up like me. if you don't stop.
Right.
And I think that moment was like a defining moment. Like, yo, he almost died in my arms, you
Exactly.
know, but just being who I am, being how my sister was, it's just like, can't leave well enough alone because we like the money. At
Whoa,
this
whoa.
point, it becomes an
Oh,
obsession. I like
wait,
that money.
wait a
I
minute.
like
So
when
you
my
go
mama
back,
said,
you
right.
go
I
back
like when
harder?
mama say, well, can you pay the phone bill and I can go do it?
Wait,
You
wait a
know,
minute. Hold
I
on, hold
like
on.
that power.
Time out. So his boyfriend's shot in the hospital.
Yes.
He looks at you. Say, I'm out of the game.
Yeah. At
Suggest
that
you
point, I
do.
was just like, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. Right.
He says, I'm done. I suggest you do
Right.
the same.
Yep.
You said you chill for a little while. Life
Yep.
happens.
Yep.
You jump back in. You jump back in for another round.
Yeah. I call it sprinkling here and there.
Right.
It's sprinkling. And
Right.
you want to know what's so weird? My mom had said to me after he got shot, she was like, baby, I'm so terrified that something's going to happen to both my daughters. Like, I'm scared, y'all ain't going to make it. Like, because y'all is around some dangerous people. But me, my sister, she slowed down a lot. Me, I was just like, yo, I'm about to make this money. I'm going to buy us a house somewhere. Like, I'm going to buy us a house.
Right.
So by this point, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I remember even in that same neighborhood when we was near State Street, like, there was a guy that used to babysit a lot of the kids in the neighborhood. And we call him Big Buford. And I remember Buford was so sweet.
Yeah.
He was so kind. He was so nice.
Right.
And everybody knew about me. I used to carry a knife in my bra, like in the front of my bra, because niggas knew I cut them. Like, I will cut you.
Wow.
And
Right.
so that was my thing of choice. I didn't want a gun. I had guns, but I didn't want a gun. I want a knife. I want to get up close and personal. And so he knew about my knife. And he said one day, hey, my knife at the house broke. Can I please borrow your knife, Malandie? And it was a special knife that someone had made for me. And it had like a dragon on it. It was
Right.
very expensive. And it was a specific type of knife. So I don't think nothing of it. He takes the knife. I go back in the house. I don't think none of it. By this time, I have like a job, saying I'm working or whatever. And I'm going to work. I don't even think about the knife. Still not thinking about the knife. So I don't see him for like 3 days. Everybody's like, have you seen him? And I was like, no, I ain't seen him. I thought he was with y'all. They're like, no, he ain't been here to watch the kids. I was like, maybe we should sort of look for him. And if we don't see him, we're going to need to report him missing.
Right.
So a couple of days after that, the police show up at the house. And it was detectives. And they have his picture. And they have this bag with them. And they come to my door. And they say, they asked my mom, it's like, hey, Miss Deborah, whatever, can we speak to your daughter? She said, what for? And then she was like, my daughter ain't done nothing. My daughter was at work. He said, no, we have a question about Buford. And that's when they said that, I was like, what's going on? So they walk in the house and they said, Malandie, do you know or have you seen this weapon before? And they showed me a picture of my knife. And I was like, I had like this out of body experience for a second. And I was like, yeah, it's my knife. And then they were like, yeah, we were told it was your knife. Do you know who had this knife? I said, yeah, the gentleman next door. He told me their knife broke at their house and that he needed to use my knife. And I let him use it. And then, I went to work and I hadn't seen him since. He said, have you seen him around any females? I said, yeah, he's always around all of these women over here and all these little kids. He babysit a lot of the kids. He's like someone that everybody in the neighborhood like. And they was like, well, he's been locked up for the murder of a 15-year-old girl that he stabbed to death and raped. He used your knife. When I tell you, like, you cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. And I thought to myself, like, why? Why does this stuff attracted to me and my family? Like, what? Why? Like, literally, this is a murderer. He's a murderer. And he lived next door and was babysitting people's kids. That's why the other thing is you got to be careful who you put your kids around. You got to be careful the energies you have around those that you love. You got to be careful because people are out here that are predators and they're pedophiles and they are looking. There's a scripture in the Bible that say, the roaring lion looking for whom he may devour.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's looking for someone to devour. And at that point in my life, I didn't realize that the lion was trying to devour me. The lion was trying to devour my family. He was trying to make these generational curses just keep on lasting and keep on going. And I didn't know that. But it was like God just kept warning me. And I just was not, like, I wasn't listening. You know what I'm saying? I was just so determined. Like, I don't want to be in the hood. Like, my passion to get out the hood was more than my passion to stay alive. Put it that way.
And that's the thing right there. It's like, yo, out of desperation, sometimes we think we're doing the right thing or making a good situation. We're trying to make it better, but making a bad situation worse. So let me ask you, what was your eye-opening moment? When was your eye-opening moment where you said, you know what? I got to get out because, yo, I could have died, or, yo, this is it. I'm done taking the chance. What was that moment where God got your attention finally?
Okay. So the fact that, in which, like I said, I bypassed a few things, but I will say this. I have been molested from the age of 8 to 13. Okay. So I was already traumatized from that.
Right.
But then when I got around 17, this is the same time that all of this stuff is going on, that I was gang raped by 7 men. Okay. It was brutal. It was bad. It was bad.
Right.
Very bad. And to this day, doctors don't know if I'll ever be able to have children because of what they did to me. And so in my mind, I'm already so traumatized. But I think that the thing that sort of turned it around, and I know it's the craziest thing, but my mom, right? Okay, so the guy that was her boyfriend at that time that was living in the house with us, I thought they were having problems, because my mom was starting to think about dating, somebody else. And at this point, we were sort of secure at that particular location. We hadn't really had nothing bad happen in a while. I was like, okay, well, they just arguing, whatever. So I'm thinking, they're not getting it in or nothing, they're not getting it in. Well, my mom at 42 comes to my sister and me and is like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. And she's like, I'm about to have a little brother or sister for y'all. And me and my sister was like, you got to be kidding. I almost passed out. And I was like, Mama, I said, you can still have babies? Like, we were in shock, like, why would God put a baby in the middle of this,
Right.
But that was the catalyst. When I found out that my mom was pregnant and she was going to have, who is now my baby sister, that was my catalyst. I said, okay, I can't be dating all these different men, because I went through a whole phase of just not loving myself and giving myself to people that didn't deserve me. And that actually, a lot of women don't know that, when you get raped or you get molested, some of us, we will go without any sex, while others of us become more like promiscuous because we've lost ourselves. And so I went through this whole phase of being promiscuous, whole stage of being bisexual. And so my little sister was the catalyst for all the change. She was the catalyst.
Turn it around.
Right. She was the thing that was like, you know what? I'm not going to have these different dudes coming around her. I'm not going to have drug dealers around her. I don't want her to go through nothing I went through. I don't want nobody shooting up the house she in. I want her to be able to go outside and play with her toys and nobody bother her, And so she definitely was the catalyst for me and my sister. Like, that was the thing I think that just like sort of just changed our life when she was born. And so even though we was like looking at it like it was a mistake, it was really a blessing in disguise to get us to change. And honestly, I didn't even think that was going to be the thing that changed it. I thought maybe I done got locked up. All the times I done ran from the cops and stuff, jumping fences. I'm thinking like, that's what's going to be my catalyst. But no, it was her being born. So that was the catalyst for my change.
Yeah, and that's real right there. A lot of times it's like be the little things like that. And maybe it's the innocence of the child where it's like, I don't want to put them. And even though I'm having to do what I gotta do, I'm in a bad situation trying to make it better. I don't even want them to have to go through that. I don't even want to contaminate them with this evil out here. So a lot of times it's like, people become parents. Like you said, you had your baby sister that you held dear to your heart. Like, I don't want her to be influenced with that life.
Yeah.
So
I don't want her to be I don't even want her to know what rap music is. Like I went that far. Like I don't even want her to know no parts of that lifestyle. Like
All
in
right.
any way, you know. And so I remember like as we finally got out of the neighborhood, and I told my mom, she said, "Baby, I don't want you to do that anymore. I don't want your sister to do that anymore. When we move to our, you know, this was our first place we would have, like, there was a really nice house that it, you know, we paying rent and we're not in the hood like that.
Right.
So it was just like, okay, Ma, I'll do it, you know, and I made her a promise and I stuck to the promise. And so then my sister, my middle sister now, she became pregnant, and that was like my second like catalyst. Like, okay, wait a minute, I'm about to have a whole nephew. I'm about to be an aunt, you know. And so now I'm really like motivated. Like, okay, God, help me get me together, you
Right.
know. And so I'm still struggling with my sexual issues because of the rape. I'm struggling with my sexuality. Do
Right.
I want to be with women? Do I want to be with men? Because men had traumatized me so bad. Like I just didn't want to be with a man. Just the thought of being with a man made me sick to my stomach because of what I had went through.
Right.
And so I really just didn't know who I wanted to be with. So I have been in a situation where, yeah, now, you know, I have these two kids around, and so I'm not bringing people around them. It's more like now I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna meet these people that I
Right.
want to get with, get what I need, and then come back home later, you know, because I'm not trying to expose them to the dirtiness in my heart, the
Right.
dirtiness in my mind, because I'm messed up from what happened to me. I'm
Right.
messed up. Like I feel some kind of way about men, and especially black men. And that was the thing. Like I had always loved black men. I always thought so highly of them because the men in my life, you know, like my grandfather, my dad, these were upstanding men.
Right.
And so a lot of these things they didn't even know that I was going through because I'm not telling them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not making them aware of it. And so I think that a lot of times women, we be looking for our answers in the wrong things.
In the
And I
wrong
was
thing.
definitely looking for answers in the wrong things.
Wow.
But I definitely was keeping it away at this point from my sister and my nephew. I was keeping it away from them. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So around this time, is this when you was doing the music still, or music been gone out the window?
Okay, yeah. Music, the music was an overlap when I was about 16, 17.
Okay.
So this was during a lot of this stuff that was going on. I was actually working at a record. Well, it was a local record label here,
Right.
and they have ties to some big record labels in New York. And at that point, I've always been an R&B junkie. I love gospel, but I love R&B because I grew up listening to that. You know, Shaka Khan and Whitney Houston. That's what I grew up listening to. Wailers, and
Right.
so they were like, Malandie, I didn't know you could write like that, girl. I didn't know you could sing like that. You know. And because I was like overly sexual because of what happened to me,
Right.
all my music was about a lot of sex. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it was very provocative, you know, like it was just very naughty, very naughty. And
Right.
so they really liked that about me, that I was very open sexually. I've always just been a person that is a free spirit.
Right.
And so I had no problems talking about what I liked sexually, what I wanted sexually, whether it was a man or a woman. And they liked that. And they were like, oh yeah, we want to sign her.
Right.
And you know, like I said, when they offered me, because it was two labels, I'm not gonna say their names, but it was
Right.
two labels that offered me contracts. One was for like 120,000, and that was for like a 2 album deal or whatever.
Right.
And I get to do like, you know, have create some of my creative control, not all of it, but some of it. I did have some control. And then being able to like sort of they wanted to market me as like I don't know if you remember this artist named Patra, you
I
know,
remember that.
the reggae
Yeah.
artist,
Oh yeah.
right? They wanted to market me like that as Patra, but doing like R&B. So
Wow.
very sexualized, very free, very, you know, like whatever comes to me is whatever happens. Like come to my bedroom. Like they wanted to market me this way.
Kind of like
Now,
Adina Howard.
yes, yeah. Adina Howard, Patra, yeah, that kind of thing. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Gotcha.
yes. So when I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you know, I got offered these deals or whatever. And both sides were basically the same. They both wanted to sort of market me in this way.
Right.
And so my mom was like, so are you going to take the deal? And when I told her like what they wanted me to do, she was like, well, you can always have your people go back in there and negotiate and, be like, look, can we come up with another marketing strategy on how we going to brand her or whatever? So we can, just sort of, not this. So then we went back and they were like trying to say more like, okay, well, we could try and make her be like more neo soul. So now more like Erykah Badu or Jill Scott, like try to tone it down, but still be sexual, but like more conscious. You know what I'm saying? So nobody on the board liked that idea because they were like, sex sells. She has a banging body. She's young. She's hot. We want to do sex. And it was just that simple. And so I think for me with the music, the turning point was when we had went in for a meeting. We went down for a meeting at the first label and they gave us this contract. We got to looking over this contract. And my friend, his lawyer, actually, he noticed it. He's looking at the contract. He said, do you realize they saying that you got to give them permission to make a clone of you? I didn't know what that was. I was like, a clone? What's a clone? I didn't know what that was. Like, I'm a little girl from the hood. Like, what's a clone? And so he tried to explain it to me. It's like making a double of yourself.
Right.
I said, wait a minute. Where would they get a double of me? They say they make it in like a tube or something, I guess. Like a test tube. He was like, they're gonna make a test tube baby of you. I was like, what? Wow. So he said, I'm telling you, the contract says that. And I went and looked, and it basically said we have the right to clone you. So like if you cannot make an appearance, then we can make the appearance for you. Wow. And then it was like a whole lot of other like inscriptions on it and things. And something that stood out to me was not just in the contract. When we had went back that day to ask questions about the cloning in the contract, there was a pen. It was a pen and it had like red ink, but it was like a calligraphy pen. And so when I was really young, my stepdad had bought me a calligraphy pen and he had been teaching me how to do calligraphy. That's that old school writing from like the 1700s, something like that. Right. And so, you put it in an inkwell and you pull the ink out and then you write with it. This particular pen was just like that, but there was like this red ink, but it did not look like red ink. And I said to them, I said, hey, look, can I sign with my red pen that I have? Since y'all want red ink, let me sign. And it was something in my spirit. And I know this was the Lord. It was just like turning my stomach like, that's not ink. Like, it was just something in my spirit, just like, don't sign with that pen. Like, I was trying to like get through it. And it was just ringing in my head. Don't sign with that pen. Don't sign with that pen. Right. And I said to my friend, that my manager that was sitting beside me, I was like, you notice that pen over there? He said, why are you so stuck on that pen? I'm telling you, it's something up with that pen. I said, go look at it. And I was like, that's a calligraphy pen. He said, oh yeah, that is odd. So he's over there messing with it. And they're like, yeah, we done had it for this long. Everybody that signs a contract with us uses this pen. Wow. And so they kept fussing with me. We're not going to let you use a different pen. You got to use this pen. And I was like, I'm not using that pen. They said, are you serious? You're about to get this 6-figure budget and you won't sign it? And I was like, look, just give me a black ink pen. Like, just give me, come to find out, one of the rituals was, signing in blood. Never, ever, ever in my life did I think for one moment that would be me. Right. Like, it just shocked me. It shocked me to my core. And I remember calling my mom, and I felt so bad. I told her, I said, Mama, I said, there ain't gonna be no record deal. She's like, what? You can sing. I said, I know. She's like, you can write. You're creative. I was like, there ain't gonna be no, Mama, the stuff these people want me to do, trust me, you ain't gonna want me to do it. I was like, I'm not getting rid of my soul for nobody. Like, right. I'm not. I'm gonna be their puppet. They will own me. They will own me. They will own my family. I was like, I can't. And, she was hurt. She was upset, but she understood. And so it happened both times. Now, the other label, they were sort of like, well, you can gift us. And for people that don't know, some people will say, okay, I will give you a record deal and I'll sit down with you. You know about this, don't you? Right. They'll be like, I'll sit down with you if you bring $1,500 or you bring $3,500 and I spend 10 minutes with you. I'll listen to your album and then I'll let you know what we're going to do. That's
Right.
not guaranteeing you a deal. That's just you paying for the time for them to listen to you
Right.
because they're in a high position and they got the sauce.
Right.
So the first thing they wanted was, they were like, well, you can gift us. But I thought they were talking about regular gifting, like, okay,
Right.
$1,500, 20, I'm like, oh, I can go sell some drugs and get that real quick and we
Right.
can be on about our business, you know what I'm saying? But it was not like that. They wanted me to gift them sexually.
Right.
They wanted me to sleep with each individual member
Wow.
and to do specific things such as sodomy. And I was like, at first, I didn't know what they were talking about. But then when I really got to listening and paying attention, I went back to my manager. I said, yo, I think they want me to sleep with them.
Right.
And he said, no, that's not what it is. I said, I'm telling you, that's what they're talking about. And he was like, maybe it's how they wording it. I said, no, I'm telling you, them dudes want me to sleep with them.
Wow.
And so from that point, I told my mama, music is a no.
Right. That was it. Like, I'm done
That
with
was
that.
it. I'm done with music. That is it. You know what I'm saying? And granted, I got some great friends in the industry. I know some really good people in the industry that are not like that. And
Right.
so thank God that he brought me to these people, because now I can actually send people to people that's gonna really help them and not use them or won't gifts or get them to sign their name and weird liquids, things
Right.
like that.
Right. I feel you. So, yo, let me ask, down the road, do you think you ever do a project, or are you done with music? Like, that was it? That was a wrap? Like, they might catch you in a pew or no studios?
You'll catch me at the pew, but I think that eventually I do want to do at least one studio album. I do want to do that because I did promise my mother that. I promised my mother that. I don't know if it will be a compilation of like gospel, R&B. I don't know, but I do know that that's something that she's always wanted. And I say, even if I got to go out of my way to do it, I'm gonna try to find a way to do an album for her. And when I do, I'll let everybody else hear it. And she said, that's the day you're gonna get famous.
Wow.
She said all the time.
Right. And that's the thing right there. You've been doing it for a while. So not only do you do music and sing, how did you get into fashion? Because like, yo, your name holds big weight in these fashion streets. So it's like, how did you get into? Let's talk about that experience. We done did the thug life. We done did the
Okay, yeah,
singing.
thug life. Yeah, we got that out of the way.
All right. So would you still thug lifing when you was modeling too, or you had then cut the thug life out?
Okay, I had cut thug life out. Thug life
Right.
was gone. Thug life was gone. I still had thug in me though. I still had that thug in me. So people had to sort of be careful how they talk to me and how they sort of speak to me and treat me, because I will punch you in your face. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that was still inside of me, because God was still trying to deliver me from my nasty temper. So yeah, but me and my sister both had temper. So like if one of us jumped, everybody jumped, and it was just a problem. So yeah, when I got into fashion, I realized it was a sort of a whole different arena. But my mom had been in fashion and competitions and pageants for a long time. As a matter of fact, she went to school for fashion when she was in her 20s. And so I grew up having like tiaras and crowns and like inside our cabinets. And she had like all these trophies. I said, I'm going to be like my mama. But I thought I was going to be like, in the singing, frame of things. I didn't think fashion. I just thought singing, because I love fashion, but I just was focused on singing. So I was sort of depressed after the whole record deal thing. I got really depressed and I felt some kind of way about the music industry. I just was like, no, I'm not touching it. I'm not getting near it. I'll help other people, but I don't want to do it. So when I got into fashion, it was sort of on a whim, actually. I wanted, because some of this stuff overlaps. So I was probably about, I want to say it was a year after my rape. It was a year after my rape. I was like, I want to say I was 18.
Right.
And so there was this gentleman at this hair salon. And at this point, I had got to a point, because I remember Little Kim and Mary J. Blige, they were wearing like those big bangs and they had like the finger waves and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I want to say Share My World was out. So yeah. So like, it's just like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get my hair like that. So I met this man, he was at this grocery store, and he ended up being a Black owner of a beauty shop. And he was like, yeah, come to my shop. He's like, you got a beautiful look, have you thought about modeling? And I was like, me? Model? He's like, yeah, you tall, you slender. You know, I love your look. You're exotic. You know, he's like, you need to model. And I was like, I don't know. He said, I'll tell you what, come to my shop. I'll talk to you and I'll do your hair for free. Because he asked me, did I have some money? And I was like, well, nah, I don't get paid this week. He's like, it's okay. I'll do your hair for free. What you want? I said, I want extensions. That's when that was first coming out. And I was so excited. Oh, I'm going to get some extensions. And
Yeah.
so
Hold on. The
I
box
go,
braids
I meet him.
extensions? What kind of extensions? Like box
Oh,
braids? We talking about weave? What we talking about?
oh, it was like weave. It was like long hair. Because, you know, back then that was Aaliyah, you know, the part in the middle, her and Foxy
Right.
Brown had that like part going on.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'm getting that with the part. And I'm going to get long hair all the way down my back. Oh, you can tell me nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I go, I get my hair done. And he's like, look, I got this fashion show. Well, actually, he's like, I got a beauty show coming up. Right. And he's like, have you ever heard of something called, he was like, it was in New Jersey. And it was part of the Barner Brothers in Atlanta. It was for like a product company. And he's like, look, I need girls to be, you know, these characters. I came up with these characters. Can you dance? Can you do any acting? And I was like, I can do whatever you ask me to. You know, once I see it, you show me, I got it. So he's like, all right, cool. He's like, you open to do it? I'm like, yeah. I said, is it paid? Because you know me, I'm all about the money. So he was like, yeah, it's paid. I'll pay you. And I'll pay for your room and board when you go up there. I was like, okay, cool. Right, great. That sounds good. I'm excited. So, you know, we started getting ready for the show and everything. And so I did my first show in New Jersey at a hair show. And people kept asking him, he was like, who is that dark-skinned tall girl you got? She like, Naomi Campbell. Like, who is that? Right. He's like, oh, that's one of my new girls. And when they would ask how old I was, they couldn't believe my age because I looked so young. Right. And it was like, yo, I thought that girl was like maybe in like middle school. She looked so young. And so that was where my start for fashion started. Wow. Yeah, at a hair salon. That's how it started.
At a hair salon. So for the people that's watching that may not be familiar, you are pretty tall. How tall are you?
I am 5'11", and when I'm in my heels, I'm 6'2".
6'2", 5'11" without heels.
Yep, 5'11" without heels.
Okay.
Which most men tend to like when I take my heels off. They like it when I'm in them, but they like it better when I'm out of them because I'm intimidated.
Wow, you're too tall. Too tall.
Right.
Wow. All right. Okay. Well, you know, you got the Russell Simmons in the world. I think he was a lot shorter than his wife. I think.
Right. And he didn't care. He was like, look, I got me. Look at this fine lady. I got me. Like, shoot. You know, she tall like a skyscraper.
Yeah, that's a fact right there. So you did the first show. I'm pretty sure that was exciting. What was going through your head after doing that?
I saw all the beautiful people. Now, this is when I first come in contact really like in a serious way with the gay community.
Right.
And I saw how creative they were. And I mean, the outfits, the clothing, and like that feeling like when you go on the stage and you walk for your first walk, that was when I remember hearing all these cheers. It was like loud cheering. Like some people stood up and was like, strong J, slay. And that was like my first time being in that kind of atmosphere. And I was like, I asked the dude, I was like, what is strong J? He said, you know, like from Boomerang, the lady strong J. Like, so when they like something, they'll say strong J because she was bold and powerful. They're saying you bold and powerful. And I was like, oh, like it was like a whole lingo. And so, you know, I felt so good. I felt like, wow, like people love me. And you got to remember, I done been raped, I done been molested. So the love for myself is out the window. I don't have love of self. And the beauty that everyone else is seeing, I don't see it in myself. I'm not even looking in the mirror to see myself. Right. So that's when I was like, there might be something to this fashion thing. And then not for nothing, all the hot guys like walking around. Oh yeah. Like,
that's a win. That's a bonus on top of it.
That was a bonus. Hot dudes, hot girls walking around, you know, they changing their clothes. I can see them naked. I was like, ooh.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about that right quick, because just like the industry, is a lot of dark stuff that happens in the model industry as well. So for girls that's coming in, what's some things that they may need, that they may think is a misconception? They may think, oh, modeling is just looking pretty, just like you said, is getting naked in front of people. You have to worry about being, you know, predators, the wrong type of videographers, wrong type of photographers that, you know, so what's some of the dangers from your experience? What's some of the dangers that women should look out for when it comes to it?
Don't be going to photo shoots by yourself. I had a series of perverted photographers that wanted me to do suggestive things, put a banana in my mouth or, bend over a certain way. And because I was naive and I didn't know, I was new to this game. So I'm thinking this is how you model. But this is how we have so many girls out here. This all they doing is twerking in videos. All they doing is showing their booty. It's just a different time frame, but it's the same thing. It's just more worse. It's out there more. And so at that time, I tell girl, don't you be going to these photo shoots by yourself. Don't you be, going with these guys. Like if they ask you to go out for drinks, don't drink nothing they buy you. I've been like that's how I got raped. Somebody put something in my drink. That's how I end up getting gang raped. All right. So there is a really nasty underside to fashion. And one thing that I found out really quickly that drugs are highly prevalent in that business. And so, I mean, every big show, especially when I start doing the bigger shows like in New York and I'm going to Miami, like every time we go somewhere, there are drugs on the table. Like just there's a bowl of Coke. Oh, wait, there's a bowl of weed. Like there's some pills right there. You want some? And it's up there with the real food. And it's just like, okay. And then you turn around and you look at, and the girls kissing girls, guys kissing guys, like homosexuality, extremely prevalent in the fashion industry. And so when I tell you that the enemy knows, he knows how he wants to destroy you. He knows how he wants to get his hands in you. He like, you know what? Since I couldn't get her, thug life to get taken out, let's try it through this industry right here. Let's give it a different spin, make it look pretty, make it look beautiful and glamorous, because that's the part of that lifestyle that's addictive, is the glamour, being in front of the cameras, being on the red carpet, that is addictive. And so I never got into fashion because I wanted to be famous. I never got into fashion for any of those reasons. I got into fashion because I literally just loved clothes. I loved to be able to create. I wanted to have an outlet to get what was stuck in my head out. And so that sort of led me into that. But when I realized like these people, I remember one time I went to one big show in New York and these people was like up in there having an orgy. And I was like, when I walked in, I said, wait. I had to walk back out because I thought I was having a hallucination because I had way too much liquor that night. And so I walked back in and it was still going on. And I mean, it was like a whole nother life underneath that. Like I found out that there was a whole nother underground that was attached to not just the music industry, but to the fashion industry. So like they were whole houses of people that they might provide models, but some of these girls are being trafficked. But back then we didn't know it was called trafficking. We thought that it was something else. You know what I'm saying? We thought it was something else. And so we're not knowing what's going on. Okay. That's my mom. Sorry. She's telling me my dog. But yeah, it was like, I remember the first time, I don't know if you ever seen the movie, Blade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's like this scene in Blade where this innocent guy, he goes into this club and he think everybody in there is just dancing, right? You're in there dancing and everybody, he's like, oh, it's a club. Everybody dancing. Oh, cool. And he think he about to get him some. He like, I got this sexy girl. We dancing. But then suddenly the sprinklers come on and blood start coming out. Right? And he begins to realize, oh my God, they're going to kill me. And he starts running, he's running through the crowd. He's screaming because he's like, oh my God, everybody in here is a vampire.
Right.
I remember going to a particular spot in New York City. Now, this is attached to the fashion industry here. I heard about it through people in the fashion industry. So I go to this spot. You got to give your name at the door. Okay. Give your name at the door, and then you give a special word at the door, whatever. Sort of like some of these rave parties or the swingers parties. So we go in there, and it looks like that scene from Blade. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm seeing people in here that look like they jumped out of either the Matrix or Blade. And then, like this was like a shock to my system because now, like, there's a guy, he literally has rings in his skin and he's hanging from the ceiling. And people are like poking him, putting lighters on his skin, and like he's like enjoying it. And he's getting aroused.
Wow.
So I'm like, what kind of party have I fell into? But I don't know that this is the enemy setting me up to go deeper into the hole. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, like, I go to the bar with my friend and they're serving drinks. And I see this one drink and it looks really cool. And she said, oh, yeah, you want the powder? And I'm like, powder? She said, you know, like pout, like a kiss, like pout. I said, oh, yeah, what's in it? She's like, oh, she says, oh, positive tequila.
Oh,
I'm not listening. I want the drink.
right.
I don't listen to the O positive part. I listen to the part where she's talking about tequila.
Right.
My friend grabs the drink, says, you don't want to drink that. I was like, wow, it's liquor. She was like, no, it's not liquor. It's a mixture of liquor and other stuff. I said, what other stuff? I said, what, they done put some woofies or something in here? She's like, no, you don't understand. She's like, you don't know what kind of club this is. And I said, what you done brought me to? And that's when she tells me, she's like, oh, they, you know the stuff where you hear it and people be like, oh, vampires, they fake. Witches, they fake. That's not real. That's where I was at. Somewhere where people were drinking blood, where there are witches from various covens, and this is where I'm at.
Wow.
And so I kept trying to figure out why people were walking up to me saying, oh, your energy and your light is so bright. And I'm like, what is these fools talking about? Talking about, can we hug you? Can I kiss you? And I was like, I'm just like having this out of body moment. Like, I'm just going to try to act normal, but I know this ain't normal. Like, I know I'm way, way far away from Kansas.
Right.
I was like, if an Oompa Loompa pop up out of here, I'm done. I'm done. So, this is an underbelly that I didn't know about. This was something that was so shocking. I just was like, wait a minute. So everything that people told me was a myth and that was fake, some of this is really true.
Right.
And like, there were people there that were inviting me to like their covens. They're like, oh, you're from North Carolina. Oh, we got a lot of covens down there. Like, have you thought about doing witchcraft? I'm just like, you just gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
And so now I'm like walking around shows knowing that some of these people was at that club with me that night. And they're like, hi, Malandie. And I'm like, so I had to learn really quickly. Can't go hang out with everybody at every after party. Right. Go your butt home. After the show, if it's not in a public place that you know that it's a public place, you can't be going there because you might get kidnapped.
Wait a minute. So you telling me two of the most iconic artists in the game, they had a song that breaks it down. What you're supposed to do. After the party is the after party. After the party is the hotel lobby.
Look,
and after the original is probably this. Yes.
There is no true word said. When I used to hear that song, I didn't think about it. But when I heard that song again on the radio, I said, yo, them dudes done been to one of them places I went to. Like, it changed my whole perception. Like, even being around like certain celebrities, which of course I can't say their names because I signed contract, not to divulge their names. I will say this. There was my models. This is when I first started now. When I first decided I was going to start my agency. There was a big party for a big football player, down in Atlanta. And they were like, we want all the girls to wear this color and we want all the girls to do this right here. And I was like, oh, cool. And I mean, the check was nice. Like, all my girls was getting paid. I was excited. Like, this is what's up. So we get there, the downstairs of this mansion, it was normal. It was just like a nice party. It was like an all white party. Everything was normal. But it was when you want to go upstairs that it sort of got interesting because you had to sign a paper before you could go up.
All right.
Now, no one had told me. Right. Okay.
We never been So let's just
Oh,
pretend
okay.
we never been to one of these parties, right?
Okay.
So you gotta slow it down right here. This one you gotta
Okay.
walk us through it slow. You can't take us fast. So, all right, yo. When you said to go upstairs, you gotta
Right.
sign a paper. What kind
Yes.
of paperwork we talking about? Is this like a non-disclaimer? I didn't see nothing.
Yes.
I won't speak about it.
I will not speak about it. I will not tell what I see. I will not tell who was in there, which again, in big capital words, I will not tell who I saw up here in this upstairs. All right. So my girls, when I realized, I don't know, the Lord was always speaking to me.
Right.
Am I always listening? No. But he speaks loudly to me. He's like, don't let your girls go up there. I don't know. He just said it. He said, don't let your girls go up there. So I go to the girls and I said, look, y'all stay down here. I'm going to go upstairs and check on everybody else because some of the celebrities had went upstairs. So,
Right.
I have been helping some of them because a lot of times when they would come into town and stuff like that, I'm paired up with them to make sure they get to the hotel, make sure they go to the radio interview, things like that.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm gonna go check because I'm like curious. You remember what I told you? I'm a curious cat. So I'm like, I'm gonna go upstairs. So I signed the paperwork or whatever. I start going up the stairs. Everything seemed normal. So I go to that second floor. And on the second floor, it's just like a lot of drugs, a lot of smoking, people talking about people, just celebrities chilling. It's sort of like an upscale VIP. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, it ain't nothing bad going on up here. Like, oh, I had to sign a contract for this. This ain't nothing. I haven't been to something like this before. So I don't really think nothing of it. And that's when this one particular gentleman, I can't say his name, he's like, oh, you need to go to the third floor. I said, oh, there's something on the third floor? He said, yeah, you go to the third floor.
It's level
right.
to this. This too slow
right.
for you? Take it up one more. Everything.
Right.
You looking for the party?
Right. Because he's seeing how I look and I got all this colorful hair and stuff. So he's like, oh, she out there. She wild. So go upstairs. He's like, you want me to go with you? I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Walk me up there. So we go up there. We get in the elevator. We go up. We get up on the floor. And there's some girls that greet us at the door. Hello, welcome to the Illusion. And we like, Illusion? Okay. So it's like a theme party up here. I'm still not paying attention. I'm just thinking this is a more upscale VIP, right? It's extra. So I'm thinking maybe I might see strippers in there or something like that, like a little dance room or something. That's all I'm thinking. Man, we get halfway down this hallway up here because it's like a corridor. Like you walk out of the elevator and the girls, they walk you down this corridor, and on each of the doors, there's like a different like writing, like it says something. Now I'm not looking at what the words are saying, but they're color coded. Okay. And I'm like, that's odd. Why is everything up here color coded? Like, I don't think none of it. So I'm just going to keep walking. I'm going to follow the girl. When we get down to the end of the hallway, there's all these red lights. You know how the red light special lights? So it's like red lights everywhere in this part of the house. And it's like a bunch of people in there. Lots of famous people. Okay. Very well known celebrities. And so I walk in, he walks in, he goes and sits down and just starts tongue kissing some dude. And I was like, okay.
So
something in my spirit was like, walk further into the room. So I walked down a little bit further past the people that's on, like, they're like these lounge chairs. So walk past the people in the lounge chairs, and I get a little further back, and there's like this drape, like a white drape, sort of like going across. And I sort of move the drape over so I can look. And I mean, they're like having straight wild sex with each other. Okay. These thugged out rap artists that I done seen on TV with all these chains and all these fronts in their dudes up their rear. When I tell you the trauma of seeing two men do that, I stood there and they noticed I was standing there and they was like, you want to join? I was like, no. I didn't even know what to say. Wow. And so the other guy, he was still in the corner. I was like, I got to get out of here. So I started walking slow because I don't want anyone to know that I'm like I'm in
Freaked
shock.
out.
I don't want, right. Like I'm creeped out big time. And then one guy said, yo, have you ever had a sex with a horse? It's the best.
Wow.
I said, wait a minute. I was like, what did you say? He's like, horses. You ever had sex with a horse? And I was like, you had sex with a horse? He said, oh yeah, I've had sex with a horse. I thought this dude was drunk.
Wow.
This dude was serious.
Wow.
Famous people. And so for me, that was like, I was like, okay, I gotta watch where I take my girls. I gotta watch who invites my girls. I gotta watch everything. Because even these famous celebrities that we love so much, they are walking incarnations of Satan.
Right.
True story.
Wow.
And so I think that for me, when I got into fashion, I thought, you know what, this is gonna be so much more easier. It's gonna be so much nicer. No, you don't understand. The devil be having his trap set.
Right.
He be having his trap set. And so it changed how I looked at the fashion world, and it changed how I handle business in the fashion world. And so I had to start putting on my hustle shoes, but not actually hustling. You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna hustle this business and I'm gonna hustle it legally, but I'm not gonna be part of any of this crazy stuff they got going on here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So these are the parties, these famous parties they're talking about. So it's like you just happen, we're here for business.
Right. These are the parties you done heard artists tell you about. I know you done heard these stories. Wow. These are the parties that other artists will tell you about. They're like, yo, man, I went to this party, man. And they won't never tell you what they saw because they don't sign a disclosure contract. They're not going to tell you. And that's why they might be like, yo, man, it was lit. But, man, there was some stuff going on in there. Man, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? They won't never say what it really was.
Right.
But I'm telling you, if I got delivered and saved, I'll tell you what it was.
Right. So, all right. So that we're clear, right?
Yeah.
These are the infamous parties, right? You in there.
Yep.
Celebrities. We're not saying any names, but celebrities in there. So pretty much what they're saying, what the talk is, you've been there, you've seen it, and it's true.
Yeah, it's true. It's real. The Illuminati is real. It's real.
All right.
It's real. And people call it Illuminati, but it's Satanist. Right. They're Satanists. They worship a demonic spirit, a couple of them. I'm not going to say their names, but they do worship several demonic spirits that are bisexual, trisexual. Yeah, it is real because I've been approached by them as well. Because I ended up finding out, like when I was younger, I found out that there were people in my family that had practiced witchcraft. So actually, it's in my generation, just like the ministry is in my generation. Witchcraft was also in my family. Right. And so I was wondering why witches kept coming to me. Right. They just kept coming to me and wanting to be my friend and wanting to hold my hand and wanting pieces of my hair and like just weird things. Right. And so, yeah, this stuff is real. It's real.
So when we say witches, we talking about like Wiccans? What do you mean? Like,
okay, so you have what we call white witches. These are good witches. They're not bad witches. They actually love nature. They love nurturing. They believe in Mother Nature. Like they pray in a way that I guess you would say is for peace and tranquility. They don't destroy anything. They do not do things that would be satanic. Right. So yeah, they're different. But the witches that were coming to me were satanic. Like spells, castings, hexes, right. All that stuff. So it was something where when I was exposed to that, and they kept saying to me, because what it was, and this is what I want people to understand, the God in you is bright. It's bright and it's bold. And depending on what you're going through in your life, even if you're going through something dark, the God that's still on you, the calling that's still on you, shows to the demonic. They can see it, right. Just like angels can see it. Okay. So you got to remember, even though you're in a natural realm, there is a spiritual war going on in the supernatural realm. And so I was not understanding that these witches that could see into the supernatural realm, okay, were seeing my light, and they were seeing my energy and what God had given me, even though I wasn't aware what God had given me.
Right.
Right. So it's a real thing. And this start to come out of the fashion industry.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow. And that's the thing, like you said, is like they are intertangled. So it's like sports, entertainment, actors, actresses, is all Hollywood. Anytime fame comes into play, we hear the same story. So it's like it's pretty much everywhere you look if you think about it,
Right.
because they all partying together is the same type of situations. So all right, so you see this, right? What
Right.
happens next? Was that had to shake you up a little bit, because like you're going in, you're thinking this ain't. It had to shake you up.
Right. It shook me up a lot, because first of all, you walk into a club thinking you about to go in there and, you know, dance to some LL or something and get your groove on, you know. And you walking in, they witches and warlocks.
LL wasn't there though, right? LL was not there.
No, LL was there. Yeah, no, he wasn't there.
He was not there.
You know, but back then he was one of my favorite artists. So
Right,
you know, in my head, I'm like, oh, we about to go in here, we about to jam, we about to party, we about to get lit, like we're gonna have a good time. And I walk in there, they like witches and warlocks and vampires, and I'm like, you gotta be. I thought like vampires. I really thought that was just something fictional. It's not. Like these people, literally, they would go and test the people they would get the blood from. They will test them, and then vampires believe in a certain way of what their gifts are. So some of them are psychic, some of them are historians. Same thing like in church, you got a pastor and apostle. It's the total opposite. This is how the demonic realm works. It's like a photo print copy to make fun of what God already created.
Right.
And so you're in a spot where you're seeing this, but you can't believe this. Like these people in here drinking blood.
Even down to like the baptisms and stuff like that. For like every ritual they have in Christianity, they have
right. Because even in like when you want to join certain parts of a Satanist group, they will baptize you in blood, or either they will have you drink blood, or they may have you eat something, like practice cannibalism. Okay, this is a real thing. This is a real thing. All these little kids popping up missing. Trust me, they be having some of them.
Wow. Yeah, and that's real. So you see that, right? You see that, right? How did you not lose your mind at that point? Where it's like, yo, wait a minute. So everything that I thought was good is bad.
Right.
Everything that I thought was reality was the Matrix.
Right.
How did you not lose your mind at that moment? How did you keep going forward?
Okay, so for me, when I went, there's an amazing woman. As a matter of fact, I just went to her show this weekend. I'm not gonna say her name, but she's an amazing woman. She does amazing shows down here, and she saw something in me, and she let me compete in her competition. I won her competition, and I was supermodel of the year down here. Right. She said, "I'm gonna send you to New York," and she said, "When you get to New York, I know once they see you, you're gonna be super successful, and people are gonna book you, and they're gonna want to work with you. Just go up there and win this competition for me." So I go up there, and God opens the door. I win that competition. So I'm toting 2 titles in 1 year. This is in like 2005.
Right.
Okay. So I'm like in my 20s. All right. So I win this title. I'm there. And then it's so weird, because before I even got there, the Lord kept saying, "Daughter, I need you to go to New York. I need you to go." I'm like, "Lord, yeah, they're going to send me to New York." He's like, "No, you don't understand. You got to go to New York. You got to go. Go to New York. Go to New York." Right. And he's like, "You cannot miss this show." And I was just like, he's really serious about it. So I'm thinking it's just because he want me to win the show, you know, to, you know, make this lady look good and help her business. That's what I'm thinking. But God had a different plan. So I go up there and I win the show. I'm leaving the show. I'm walking out because one of the girls in the show, really gorgeous. I think that girl was going to win the show because it was 35 of us. Out of 35 women, I beat 35 women out. Right. I was one of the only girls. Me and 2 other girls, only ones from the South. Right. Okay. Everybody else from big cities. Right. So I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, that girl's going to win." she doesn't win. So I walk out of the corridor and I walk into this guy, and he's very handsome. He's very distinguished looking. He has some red wine in his hand. And it's just something about this man. It's like his light is like bright. It's just really bright. And it's just like, I can't believe I'm seeing this light like this bright around this particular person. I don't see lights that bright. Every now and then I'll see a bright light. And this particular man, he just had this light. And so I was like, God was like, go talk to him. Like that quick. I heard the voice. He said, go talk to him. So I go walk up to him. I said, hey, how are you? He's like, you're Chynadahl. You're from North Carolina. Wow. He was like, you told us you're going to show us how the South do it. You know, 'cause I had said something like that on stage. Right. And he's like, can I go buy you a drink? And I was like, I don't really drink, you know, because I done went through all this crazy stuff. So I'm like, I'm not drinking.
You ain't going to get me like that.
Right. I'm like, I'm not drinking anything. So he said, well, if you don't want to drink, I can buy you something to eat. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, can I go upstairs and change? You know, I've been in these heels and this makeup. I just want to change. She's like, no, look beautiful. He was like, but get comfortable. I was like, all right. He's like, because I want to take you and your friends out. You got some friends that are here? And I'm like, I don't really know you. And then that voice was like, no, you need to go with this man. And I just find it so weird, like stranger danger, Lord. Like Lord's like, no, that's not stranger danger. Okay. So we end up hanging out or whatever. So when we're done eating, these big limos pull up. And I'm thinking the limos is for somebody else, because one of the guys that own a big company, real big company that makes a lot of drinks in America, he's there. So I thought it was his limos. No, they were limos for us. Oh wow! And I was like, those limos, right? I was like, those limos is for us. He's like, yeah, get in. I still ain't asked this man really who he is, what he does. I'm just going with the voice in my head that I'm hearing. Wow. Go with him. So we get in the car. We go to this club in New York City. Right. I don't know if you remember it. It was called the Copacabana. You remember Copa?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Copacabana, yeah. So that was a spot. You know what I'm talking about. That was a spot. So we pull up to the Copacabana. I said, wait a minute. I said, that was in a movie a long time ago. I saw when I was like a little girl, the Copacabana. I said, like a lot of gangsters used to come to this club. Right. He was like, yeah, it's a historical site here in New York. Definitely. He was like, I'm going to take you in there. I said, I'm going to go in the Copa? He was like, yeah, I'm going to take you in the Copa. So we walk up to the door, and the people like see him, and they just open the door. And we just walk in. And I'm like, and my girlfriend, she sort of pulled me to the side. She said, who is he? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, this is sort of weird, because everywhere we go, people open the doors for him. You sure he ain't in the mafia? Because I have been around people like that. Right. That, you know, in the mafia and stuff. So she was scared that it was one of those situations where it's maybe he's a big drug dealer, maybe he's in the mob. Like, who is this guy? You know? And so we go into the club. We walk up to where, you know, you're supposed to get checked in to do VIP. He don't even have to check in. He just walks us all past, right? And the line is around the building, and we're like, what is going on here? Right. So the Lord gets us in there. We in there chilling. We in the top VIP where nobody but, like, you know, it's like that box seats kind of thing in the Copa. So we're like chilling. We watching everybody dance on the floor. He's buying like $500 bottles of wine. I'm like, what in the world is up with this guy? Right. And so I never asked him what he does. I never asked him really like what part of New York he's from. I'm just sort of there. And I mean, he treats me like a queen. He treats me like a complete queen. Right. And so by the end of the night, he's like, you want to go get some pie? Because in New York, they don't say pizza. They be like pie. Yeah, we'll go get some pie. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go get some pie or whatever. Okay, I'll go get some pie. So we go get some pie, and we're sitting there. He's like, I would like to date you. And I was like, well, I don't really know about that. I was like, I done been through a lot of stuff. I'm sort of scared, like sort of get.
Time out. Okay. So this man then brought you to the Copa. They open the doors. They walk in. They know he red carpet affair. Everything. He turns to you. Said, I would like to date you.
Right.
And what did you say?
I said, I don't know about that. And this man done bought like 4 bottles of $500 wine. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that.
Right.
And my girlfriend said, if you don't want them, I do. You know, you always got that one friend, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, he was like, look, he said, I promise I won't hurt you. I won't touch you. None of that. He said, I'll treat you like a queen. I promise. And then I sort of heard that voice again, and the voice said, you can trust him. And I was just like, wow, okay. So lo and behold, like we just have this great conversation. So we end up, you know, we eat pie. He goes his way with one of my god brothers, and then I go back to the room with my god sister and one of the other models. And the model was like, do you know what he does for a living? I said, no, I never asked. She said, you don't care? I said, no, we probably won't ever see each other again. She said, girl, I wouldn't let that go. She said, something about that man. I was like, okay. So I get back here to North Carolina, right?
Right.
And he's calling me, you know, before I even like I had just got to North Carolina. I was at the airport still, and he was blowing up my phone like, so are you going to come back and visit so we can, you know, go on a date? He said, I'll get you a room separate from where I live. You know, we don't have to be in the same room, and not like just crazy respectful.
Right.
And I'm like, what is with this guy? And so then he said, I feel like God told me to come to you. He said, I went to the show with another girl, and he sent me a picture of the girl.
Right.
The girl was the one that I told you I thought was going to win. Wow. He said, I came with number 3 because she got 3rd place.
Right.
He said, I left with number 1.
Oh, wow.
And when he told me that, something in my spirit was like, okay, this guy here, he's different. It's something about this man that is just not like other men. I don't know what's going on, but it's something here. And so I end up telling my family about the experience I had, and I had pictures. He took pictures while we were there, everything. Right. And I told my mom, and my mom said, she said, girl, he a drug king? I said, no, I don't think so. She said, well, find out. So about 2 weeks into me and him calling each other, I finally pull up the nerve and be like, so what do you do for a living? And he was like, oh, I'm in commercial real estate.
Oh, wow.
I sell $1 million properties. I said, oh. I said, wait a minute, wait. I said, you a millionaire? And he was like, don't call it that.
Right.
I was like, oh, so you is.
Right. I know what that means. Right. I know what don't call it that means. Right.
Right. I was like, wait, you don't even gotta hide that. I know what that is. And then he said, oh, so now you just want me to go take you shopping and stuff? I said, no, I don't care. You don't gotta take me shopping. He said, well, then what is it that you want? I said, you want to know the truth? And he was like, yeah. I said, honestly, if I could have anything in the world, I want to give my family the best Christmas ever. Right. He's like, done. And from that point on, that was who I was dating. I dated him for 7 years.
You better date him. You still ain't with him?
I dated him for 7 years. And let me tell you something. When God decides he wants to change you in a dramatic way, he will send you exactly what you need at that time. Right. And this was a man that God sent me to help me heal through my trauma. Because he had the finances and a way to get me to doctors, to get me to therapists. He had a way to get me to the people that could help me to deal with myself and my mental health issues. Because I'm not realizing I'm walking around traumatized from all this stuff I done seen. And I got like severe PTSD. I have severe anxiety and depression issues. Right. And so this man literally walks into a woman with all these problems. And the first thing he's like, we need to go somewhere and we need to like take you so you can get like rebaptized. I said, you go to church? He's like, no. He said, my family is Jewish because he's Russian and Polish. So he's like, my family is Jewish. I was like, oh, so you a Jew? He's like, no, I practice Christianity. Wow. And I was like, oh, okay. He said, but there's this great water fountain and there's this man and I can see the God in him. And he baptizes people in this fountain. He said, we're going to go get you baptized. And I fought him for it for about like 2 weeks. I was like, I don't know that man. I don't want that man, touching me, laying hands on me. He's like, trust me. He's from,
all right, you better keep it back. All right.
Right. He was like, he's from the Lord. He was like, trust me, you need to get baptized. He said, there's a lot of stuff around you. It's a lot of things that have been attacking me in my dreams since I met you. He said, there are things attached to you. He said, you got to get baptized. So we go up to the park, go to this man, and the man is like, oh, yeah. He said, do you know you're a prophet? And that was the beginning of my journey into realizing who I was prophetically.
Right.
Because when the man baptized me, it was just something came over me. And that voice I had always been hearing, it was super loud now.
Right.
It was like it took over.
Wow. And that's the thing right there. So now it's like you're coming into your true self. You're coming into who you were created to be. So it's like, you kind of had to go through some things, you weathered some storms, but it's like, so at that moment, you're reborn, you get baptized. What's going through your mind at that moment? Now you're hearing the voices, it's all clicking, everything's coming together. Like, oh, now I get it.
Right.
What's going through your head?
I want to say, for me, it was after we had went to the baptism, and he said, I know you probably didn't want to get baptized that way. You're used to how, you go to the church and you do it in the baptism pool. He said, but Jesus didn't do that. Jesus went to the River Jordan. He said, and the water probably wasn't clean. The water probably was dirty. He's like, but that's where Jesus went, to John the Baptist. He said, I had to take you to a John the Baptist so you could get cleansed. He said, so you can see clear, so you can hear clear. He said, I know you can hear God. He's like, because God told me you can hear him.
Right.
And I looked at him like, what kind of man is this? Like, like it was just so shocking that I met someone that literally was like a bookend to me.
Right.
And so I was just sort of like, okay, I'm just going to do whatever he says at this point, because everything he's saying has helped me. And so it just got to the point, like, we were constantly spending time together. He would fly me to New York, fly me to wherever I want to go. If I had shows, he would send me there. Whatever God was telling him to do, this is what he did for me. Right. And while I was with him, we were very successful. He helped me. As a matter of fact, when he asked me what was my long-term dream for my career, I said, well, I really want to open up my own modeling agency. I want to get deeper into that. He said, okay, well, how much is it? And I told him. And he literally went to the bank, took the money out, and threw it on the bed when I was watching, I think I was watching SpongeBob.
Wow.
He said, here you go. Make your dreams come true. I said, I'll pay you back. He said, no, you don't owe me nothing. You owe God. Wow. He said, whenever you get in a good position, go tithe. Give it to God. Give it to God's people. That's what he told me.
Wow. Yeah, and that's definitely a blessing right there, and that shows the power of God right there. He'll use anybody, and put you in a position. If he said it, he'll put you in a position to win. So it's like, yo, he tells you, here's the money. You don't owe me nothing. You owe God. Pay it forward to God's people. Do the right thing.
You owe God. You pay God back. And it was crazy because everything he did for me, he said that. He said God told him to do it. I remember telling him, we really need to get out of this apartment we're in. He went and bought a house.
Wow.
I told him my car is breaking down. He went and bought me a car.
Wow.
And these were all things that I was not like actually asking him. I'm just telling him what's going on.
Right.
I'm just, and even when he said to me, you don't have to go to work. I'll take care of you and your family. I still was going to work. I was still working. He said, I want you to work on your business. Work on your business. That's what God birthed in you. Work on that. Work on your ministry. I said, what ministry? He said, you have a ministry. He's like, you need to work on that. And so for a long time, I didn't want to listen to him. I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to do what he was saying. But eventually God got to me because he gave me a vision. And the vision basically was an angel. An angel had came, because I've always seen angels and I've always seen spirits and I can see demons. So an angel came to me and took me to hell. Took me to hell. And when I got down there, and I remember going down this tunnel, and I remember thinking, like, I smelt burning flesh. Because, like, if anyone's ever been around someone that has like they're demonically possessed or they have some kind of evil spirit, you'll smell smoke or you'll smell like a burning, like a burning kind of smell. And so it smelled like that, but 10 times worse. And I remember thinking, I don't want to go down there, because I was hearing like loud voices. I was hearing growling. I was like, please don't take me down there. I remember I was on my knees around the angel's leg, begging him not to take me down there. And so he said, oh, you don't want to go there? You don't want to go there? I said, no, I don't want to go there. He said, everything you've been doing is going to send you there. You sleeping with women? You going there. You sleeping with all these different men? You going there. You doing drugs? You smoking? You drinking? You going there. You going there. You don't want to go down? And he kept pulling me further down. And I was just screaming for my life, please don't take me down there. And then suddenly he snaps his fingers. I'm up and I'm at the gates of heaven. Like, and it was not literal gates. It was like
Right.
this place. It was like nothing I ever seen. The colors were different. They were vivid. They were colors I've never ever like seen in reality. Like, you know how you got a Crayola box?
Right.
These are colors I've never seen in Crayola box. And I
Wow.
was like, and then I remember saying to myself, it's so beautiful. And all I felt was love, joy, peace, happiness, jubilation. Like, it was just so beautiful. And I remember my grandmother who had passed away, she walked up to me and she said, baby girl, I want you to make it in. I need you to make it in. She said, I want you to be able to come up here and be with me and be with your family. She said, don't you want to come up here and be with us? And I was like, yeah, I want to stay right now. She said, you can't stay right now.
Right.
And I
At your time
remember,
yet.
right. And I woke up and I was back in my room. And from that point, the angel was at the edge of my bed. He said to me, he said, you'll either die for Satan or you'll live for Christ. Which will it be? I'll never forget that. And from that point on, I was like, I'm going to live for Christ because I
Right.
saw what was on the other side of that. And I
Right.
thought to myself, I never knew that some of these sins I was committing were huge sins over there,
Right. Right.
you know? And I really didn't know that. And so once I knew it, oh, that's when a girl got sold out. That's when that's when I was like, okay, game over. This is it. No more clubbing. No more going out here acting the fool. Like, this is over.
Wow. And that's a beautiful thing, beautiful transition right there. And it's like, yo, you could tell the peace on your life is like, yo, now you don't have certain things you don't have to fight with. But
Right.
it's still struggles, it's still warfare. The devil's still busy, even though it's like when you try to do the right thing, you know, we're gonna shame the devil, we're gonna tell the truth and shame the devil. When you try to do the right thing, it's like that's when he throws everything he got at you now.
Right. And he's like, oh, well, you got this amazing, amazing king. Okay. He's with you. He loves you. He gives you anything you want. You can still talk to other guys.
Oh no,
You
you
can
didn't.
still, go out and do this.
Oh
You
no,
can
you better
still
not.
go hang out with your friends.
You
You
better
know,
not.
just trying to sneak, into my life and
Right.
pull, these games on me. And so it got to a point where I knew that spiritually, the battles I were fighting were pulling him down.
Right.
Okay. It was pulling him down because I was telling a lot of people, you got to understand something. I was a provider for my whole family.
Right.
And I was the breadwinner for my entire family. Okay. And so it's a house full of people living with me at this point. He bought me this house and my whole family is living in this house. And he was
Independent of
like,
you.
he told me, he said, babe, I need you to get these people out of this house. They have worn out their welcome. They're not helping us pay bills. They're not nothing.
No.
But me, I'm always a crutch. I want to be there for people. Oh, I love them. I care about them. He said, but baby, they're not carrying their weight. They need to go. It's
Right.
dragging me down. It's messing with my finances. Like, and so, there were times where he's telling me the right things to do. I'm not listening to him. And then
Right.
I'm telling him, don't invest in this property. Don't invest in that property. He's not listening to me. And this is how the enemy works.
Right.
He will come
Confusion.
between something, right? He'll come between something that God aligned perfectly. God had aligned perfectly. Evenly yoked, got it lined up perfectly. And
Right.
we allow the enemy through his sneakiness and manipulation to come in and cause tension where there once was peace.
Right.
And so eventually it just got to a point where his finances got strained. My finances got strained because I got sick. I started to get sick all the time.
Right.
And I never knew what was wrong with me at that point. I never knew. And I just kept getting sick and I kept having to go to the hospital. And so I couldn't run my business for a while because I just was constantly sick.
Right.
So it was like maybe a couple of months I'm doing my business, a couple of months I'm not doing anything. And so, we just went through some strong financial stuff. And then it just came one day. He called me. He's like, my business partner, he died. He had died like maybe three months before. And that was like his best friend. They had that business for years, like 30 years.
Wow.
And his business partner, who was also like a father to him, he died. And he went into depression. During this time, I'm like trying to go do shows, hanging out, at clubs where I said I wasn't going to go.
Right.
And, in VIP, blowing it up with money that we really don't have at that time. And he's telling me, baby, be careful with our money, and I'm really good with money. But for
Right.
some reason, like, I felt like angry because I was like, well, you're up there and you're only dealing with that. You haven't come and visit me. You haven't come spend time with me. But I'm not realizing the pain he's going through. I'm not
You're going through
realizing the sorrow he's dealing with. And
Right.
normally I'm such a sincere person. I'm such a loving person. But at that time, I was just being really selfish,
Right.
not seeing what he was going through. And because of it, it put a strain on our relationship. And
Right.
eventually it got to a point where he's like, baby, I don't have nothing else. I have nothing else I can give. So we lose the house. I was able to keep the car, but we
Right.
lose the house and we had to move. I had to move out of the neighborhood. And it was a really nice neighborhood. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? All my neighbors was Caucasian.
Wow.
And so, you know,
It's
we,
all
we
good
lost.
now.
Right.
We
No
made it out the
gunshots.
hood. Right.
Right. No gunshots at night, nobody robbing, your mailbox, it was just such
Right.
a different life for us. And we were there for like 7 years. So we did
Wow.
really, really good for that
Right.
7 years. But when time was up, I had set him because I was very loyal until I wasn't loyal. And if you know anything about women in Sagittarius, oh man, we got that fight or flight thing going with us. So,
Oh, you better
you
not
know,
run away. You better not be no
right,
track star. You better stick it out. Can you stand the rain is what this is said.
right.
Storm's gonna come is what Johnny told me.
And you know what? You know what's so crazy? I knew that was supposed to be my husband.
Right.
He knew at that time he was supposed to be my husband, but he allowed people where he was at to talk in his ear and confuse him that somehow I was just using him for money. Somehow I'm just down here acting a fool, just telling him things that weren't actually true.
Right.
And then the enemy's talking in my ear down here saying, oh, he probably got other women up there. He probably doing this up there, it got us turned against each other in such a way that we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be birthing ministries. We're supposed to be helping communities. And now we've been to such a point we're exhausted. So I tell him, well, if you're never gonna, marry me, I gotta move on with my life. I gotta go. And at first, he thought it was just me being stubborn. But
Right.
then finally one night the Lord told me, he was like, look, this is my son. I told him he was supposed to marry you. If he does not marry you, you cannot have sex with him. You cannot be intimate with him.
No, not to do that.
Now, when the Lord told me I couldn't have sex with my man, that's when things really start changing
Oh
because
yeah.
I was addicted to sex. I was addicted to it.
Right.
And
It's like
so I
almost having a car I can't drive. I got a car, like, no license. No, you ain't gonna play with me like that.
right. I can't wait. Are you serious, Lord? I
Right.
can't have sex with my man that pays my bills? Really?
Oh,
And the Lord said, nope, you can't have sex with no man. Every time you have sex with a man, you're going to feel pain.
oh
When
no.
I tell you that every time I try to have sex with my man, I went into excruciating pain. I kept going to the doctors. I was like, look, something is wrong with me. When I have sex with my man, I'm having pain. The Lord said, the doctors ain't going to find out what it is. He said, I told you no sex with no man unless he going to marry you. He said, I got to work for you to do. I got stuff for you to do. You got to be clean. You got to be holy. You got to clean this up.
Right.
So, he got hurt. He was hurt by that because he had been with me for 7 years and we had did so much together. And for me to tell him, oh yeah, I can't have sex with you because the Lord told me to. And then he was like,
Oh, my
I
God.
believe God. Right. He's like, I believe God, baby. He said, but why me? I thought God wanted me, us to be together. I said, he do. But he said, if you're not going to marry me, we can't be intimate.
Right.
It broke him down. And that's when we end up breaking up a little bit later, like maybe about 3 months later, we end up separated. And it was weird because our separation from each other wasn't even bad. It was like, I love you. I love you too. We just got to go our separate ways. God got to work on us. And that was sort of it. And me and him are still best friends to this day.
No, he may
Um,
bring it back around.
you know what? He's still in my life, but I have met someone else.
Oh, no,
And
you better
just
sit
as
and stay.
amazing.
You better sit and stay. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm teasing. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. So you met
Yeah,
someone. Yeah, I'm teasing. Yeah,
right, right. Yeah, but me and him are still really close. But what my thing is this: women, okay? I'm speaking because this was me. I was
yeah,
extremely masculine because I was out there thug lifing way before I met him, right? So I'm
right,
extremely masculine. I'm around nothing but men all the time. And it just made me and my sister very masculine. I believe that sort of fed into the bisexual things I was into because the man that I was, my king that I was at that time for 7 years, he didn't like that I was bisexual.
right,
He wanted to do it godly. Like he wanted us to be intimate with no woman in the picture. He didn't
right,
like that. Okay.
right.
And so me and him will fight sort of against that because I wanted a woman and a man. And he was like, no, that's not what God said. So I was like, well, how he gonna feel when I tell him God said he can't have sex with me, you know? And so, once things sort of like cooled off and we got through things, that's when I really start getting deep into, okay, wait a minute. The Lord is like really serious about me not having sex. Like,
Right. Not fact.
like it got to the point where if I tried to be intimate, even after I broke up with him and I tried to be intimate one more time, I tried one more time with a guy I was dating. And I mean, when I say pain, I was in the hospital for 2 days from having sex. And
Wow.
from then on, I was like, okay, Lord. I said, you know what? I'm done. If you
Right.
don't want me to have sex, I won't have sex. It's been 13 years now.
13 years. Wow.
13 years. 13 years. And so women, they need to know that you can do anything through Christ who strengthens you.
Right.
Okay? And even if you got a good man, he's not willing to submit to you in marriage, you shouldn't be giving him anything. Shouldn't be giving
Don't,
him anything.
don't you start this stuff up there. Nah, you telling the truth. Nah, for real. I'm saying that, but you're definitely telling the truth. Yeah,
Right,
that's real.
right, right. Yeah, and I was mad at God for a long time. I was mad, and I talk junk to God. He'll tell you that about me. I talk junk to him.
Right,
Like how dare you? How dare you take my dingling from me? Like
right.
you know. But once I got to a point where I got over my addiction, I realized that was what was holding me in bondage
Yeah,
because it was
definitely.
tied to my rape, tied to my molestation. It was tied to all the abuse and bad relationships I have been through. I have been through some really abusive relationships. It was tied to me being out there in the thug life. All of that stuff was tied together, and it had took like housing in my body.
Right.
And once I was able to completely submit to Christ, I could hear him. When I tell you, I could hear him clear. Oh, it was crazy. I could hear him real clear.
Right.
And my ability to know and speak prophetically was just ridiculous by this time. Like it was just getting to a point now where I don't even go in a room with people if they're not a certain kind of way. Like I don't
Wow.
even want to be a part of something if it's not a certain kind of way. If God didn't tell me to go there, I'm not going there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it took him taking sex from me, taking my man from me, taking my house from me for me to get the picture. It took all of that.
Right. And now, for God I live, for God I die.
That's
Like,
it.
that ain't no other way because it's like the stuff that mattered to you. He's
Right.
like, yo, you putting that before me? All right, I'll move it.
Right.
You
Right.
put that before me? Okay, I'll move that. You want to put that in front of you? How much do you want to lose before you get it?
Right.
I am your everything.
Right. And so the craziest part I think was like I have been without him for a while. So 2014 comes around, right?
Right.
I have been doing my business in that period of time. I have been working a regular job. I went back to school for film and directing in like 2010. And like I was doing really good. I was doing good.
Right.
I was healthy. I was going to the gym. I was walking 5 miles a day with my dogs. I was doing really good.
Right.
And then it was to the point where I was making a lot of money with my business again. And the Lord said, I'm still not first. And I kept saying, I stopped having sex. What
Oh,
you mean? He's like, no, I'm still not first. I was like, what? I stopped having sex. I stopped going to the club. I stopped all that. He was like, yeah, but daughter, you got to completely submit. You got to completely surrender and submit. And I was like, surrender, submit. Like, you just always want something from me, And I talked to him like I talked to my friends.
right.
And so he's like, daughter, I need you in this battle. I need you in this war. You got to stop everything. And so when he saw he was still having a hard time getting my complete, utter attention,
Right.
he allowed me to get sick. But it was not like a sick, like in a bad way. It was
Right.
like he needed me to do something for him. And so what happened was I had like 3 strokes in 2014. And that's when I disappeared. Nobody saw me no more. Because I know
Right.
y'all was like, oh, she was out here. She was out here. And then y'all didn't
Gone.
see me for a long time.
Right.
And that's what happened to me. I had 3 strokes. I was in like intensive care for a while.
Wow.
Unconscious. I, not even aware of anything. When I come out, my face was crooked. I couldn't walk. I couldn't speak. I had to learn how to do all that stuff all over again.
Right.
All over again. I had to start from scratch. And the Lord, he came to me when I was out on the other side, because my relatives who have passed away, they visit me. And the Lord came and visit me, and he showed me Calvary. And when he showed me Calvary, because it was him dragging the cross up to Golgotha.
Right.
And I remember all the people were throwing rocks at him and spitting at him. And I was like, who is he talking to? And it was Jesus. He was toting the cross. And
Right.
Simon had came behind him to try to help him. And they ran Simon off.
Right.
And he said to them, he was thirsty. And they gave him this, stuff or whatever. And I thought to myself, why are they treating this man like that? And then suddenly it went from Jesus toting the cross to me toting the cross.
Wow.
And I remember looking, and I looked up at this cross. And I remember looking back, and Jesus was behind me where Simon was.
Right.
And he said, daughter, he said, I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. He said, but I need you to tote your cross.
Wow.
For the kingdom of God. I need you to tote your cross.
Right.
He said, can you tote it? And I looked up at it, and it had like diseases. It had like diseases and sickness and principalities. It had all kinds of stuff on this cross. And it was painful, and it was heavy.
Right.
He said, daughter, will you tote it? He said, when you tote this cross, when you go back over there, you won't be the same.
Right.
And I said, I don't know, Lord, I'm scared. He said, daughter, do you trust me? And I said, yes, Lord, I trust you. Right. And so then he snapped his finger, and I was up at where the crucifix happened. And I remember watching, and it was Mary. It was Mary, his mother, Mary Magdalene, and then some of the disciples at his feet. And the soldiers had been gambling at his feet, and they pierced his side. Right. And I thought to myself, I was like, they already did all this horrible stuff to him. They broke his arm to put him up there, and he's already in pain. He's already in agony, and they're going to poke a hole in him. And I mean, it was like a big gouging hole. And when I tell you the condition that his body was in, if you ever seen Passion of the Christ, that was the closest that came to what I saw in my vision. His skin was hanging off of him.
Right.
Okay?
No, facts.
And he, like, if I could say literally, it was to the point where if they would have poked him more, his intestines or something probably would have fell out. Right. That's how bad they flogged him. And so I remember watching when they poked him, and then all of a sudden the whole sky got dark. It got like pitch black in the middle of the day, because it was like in the Bible time it was supposed to be like 3 p.m. Right. And so everything went dark, and it was like this big storm, and it was like the earth started shaking, and everybody was terrified. Now, not the people that believed that he was the Messiah, but the people that did not. Right. The people that screamed for Barabbas. These were the people that was running around screaming, Lord, forgive us. And it was too late. Right. It was just too late. And then the Lord brought me back into this dark room. It was a dark room. And it was just me, and it was Jesus. He said, daughter, your time has not yet come. Wow. He said, I'm going to send you back because I have a work for you to do. He said, I need you to work to help people get delivered. I need you to lay hands on people. I need you to do my work for my kingdom. You are a part of the remnant. He said, I need you to go back and change as many as you can. Get as many saved as you can. He said, because daughter, it's not yet your time. But when your time comes, you will have a place with me in glory. Right. Will you do it, daughter? And I looked at him, and he has these loving eyes, like these. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. It'd be making me about to cry. Like, he has these eyes. And I said, yeah, Father, I'll do it. And I woke up in the hospital room, And when I woke up in the hospital room, I had tubes down my throat, tubes up my nose, and I couldn't move. And I want so bad to say, Jesus was with me. Jesus, I'm talking in my head like Jesus is with me.
Right.
You know, he told me something. I couldn't talk. For months, I couldn't talk. Couldn't say anything. Couldn't even write on a piece of paper. But the first person I saw was my mother.
Right.
And so from that day on, sold out, honey.
That's the thing right there. That's the beautiful thing, because like you had that peace of knowing. I mean,
Right.
my life is in his hands. I'm good. It's like
I'm
y'all
right.
riding with Allstate. I'm riding with the winner.
Right. I'm riding with Allstate, honey. And you know, it was crazy because he was telling me a truth. He said, when I woke up, I would not be the same. And I wasn't. I could not walk on my own. I could not do anything on my own. I had to have an in-home nurse care to come and help me, you know, wash me up, help me do my hair. I couldn't do anything. For a long time, I was like drooling. Like, it was real now. It was real. And it was serious. It was some serious stuff. And I mean, at that time, my mom had all these prayer warriors that would come by the house and pray for my legs so I could gain use, because my whole left side, I had no use of my left side. I couldn't even move my left hand. Couldn't move it. It was stuck like in a position. It was stuck.
Right. Like
And
lock,
so,
like lock. Right.
right, like lock. Right, correct. It was stuck like it was withered.
Right.
And it was just stuck in that position. And so my feet were the same way. They were stuck in a position. So like I was dragging my feet and my skin was coming off my feet and I couldn't even feel it. Had no feeling in those limbs whatsoever. And the Lord said, I told you, you would be different. And I remember him telling me it was going to be painful. He told me it was going to be difficult. He said, but I want you to walk in long suffering so you can help my people. You can feel their suffering. You will know my suffering on a deeper level. This long suffering belongs to you, daughter, because I trust you. I gave you this because I trust you with it. And so I realized, like, wow, this is an honor. And people be like, is she crazy? You walking around in pain. You got kidney disease. You got liver disease. You got diabetes. You got rheumatoid arthritis. Look, I can name a whole lot of them. It's 23. 23. Doctors don't know what caused it. They just know it's hereditary.
Right.
Okay. They tell me, well, you'll be lucky if you can live this long. Okay. You already at stage 2. You lucky, you know, you might probably be in final stages by this time. And God just keeps showing them a miracle all the time.
Right.
And God said, don't worry about what the doctors are saying. The doctors don't know who I am. He was like, but daughter, just keep walking in this. Give your testimony, show people, keep walking in this. And I promise you, you'll have a place in glory. And that's been my motivation. He said, daughter, he said, and if you stay clean for me, I'll deliver you a husband.
Oh no, he better show up then. He better show up and show out. I know you're ready. I know you're ready. He better not play no games.
When I tell you, I've been like this for 13 years. The gentleman that I recently had met, we've been together now 2 years. I know that to be my husband. And he didn't have to propose to me. He didn't have to, none of that. God said, hey, I told you, didn't I promise you? He said, tell people to trust my promises. Trust my promises. It might not come when you want it to, but it's going to come on time. He said, you got to tell people my promises, daughter. Tell them about my promises. Tell them to go in the Bible and look up my promises and know that I keep my word. And I was just like, wow. I said, God is amazing. Like, amazing.
So I have to ask you, is he the guy that you met? Is he everything you wanted and more? Everything you wanted and more?
You know what? It's so, now this is going to really blow your mind. So it's a really bizarre situation. Like, I met him online, like, and I don't never date online. Like, I be doing business online. I ain't thinking about that. But how he came to me, I knew it was something because the Lord had told me to stay up late. And I was tired. I was exhausted. So I'm going to bed. But the Lord was like, no, stay up. He said, stay up, get on the internet or whatever. And
Right.
because I thought maybe the Lord had somebody for me to minister to, because I do that a lot. Like, I get people that sometimes are suicidal, or I might get someone that's going through something at home and they want prayer. So I'm open 24 hours a day, just like, I don't know, McDonald's.
Right.
And so I'm thinking this is why the Lord got me up. Like, okay, he must want me to minister to someone before I go to sleep. Maybe I miss somebody. So I'm
Right.
sitting up, and then I just get like this click into the thing or whatever. And it's a gentleman. He said, I've been watching you for a year, a year and a half. He's like, I've been watching you. He's like, you're a powerful woman of God. He said, I love the God in you. He was like, I don't want you to get creeped out. He said, I know you meet a lot of creepy guys.
Right.
He's like, but the Lord told me about a year ago, you were my wife. And I was just like, say what? Like, and this is, look, you gotta understand, this is sight unseen. I ain't seen his picture. Because when he first came to me, there was like not a picture. It was no picture. So it's like incognito. I'm like, oh, this is some. I said, Lord, why you playing with me at nighttime? I'm tired. Like, why you playing with me, Lord? You messing with me just to see if I'm gonna be obedient. And the Lord said, I'm not playing with you. He's like, daughter, listen. And so, he started talking to me, and he started telling me things. And it was weird because when I was 13 years old, now this is really going to blow your mind. So I was 13 years old. I had this list I made. I had watched Cinderella, a song. It was like Brandy. Yeah, it was the version of Cinderella with Brandy. And I had watched it. And I was like, Mama, I said, I want me a husband like Prince Charming. That's exactly what I said. So Mama said, well, baby, you go write a list of who you want your husband to be and what you want his qualities to be, and then go get this scripture. She told me this scripture. She said, go get this scripture and walk around with it in your shoe. You know how the old women tell you walk with a scripture in your shoe? So I did it. I wrote this list. I went and found the scripture, and it had all these qualities, and I put it in my shoe. And, after a couple of months, that piece of paper was that little, I couldn't read it no more, but I remember what I wrote on it. And when I tell you that this man had all of those qualities I wrote on that paper when I was 13, I was just
you better shout. Yeah, you said they're playing around. You better be over there shouting, thanking the Lord right there. So you telling me you wrote this at 13. God took you through whatever you had to go through to manifest everything that you wanted. I wouldn't even be. I would still be shouting right now.
I do. And you want to know what was the weird part? Okay, so I don't know what he looks like, right? I don't know anything about how he looks. I just know what he's saying about the Lord. Everything he's talking about was about the Lord. And he was like, I said to him, so what I did was my fight mechanism. I say, well, I'm sick. I walk with a cane. I have this issue because I do have days where I have to walk with a cane. I have days where I'm not well. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling him all this bad stuff. Like, this is the bad stuff. This is the bad stuff. You know what he said? He said, your problems are my problems. My problems are your problems. And we'll get through them with Christ's help together. He said, some trust in horses, some trust in chariots, but we shall trust in the Lord. You will be healed. That is what that man said to me. And when I tell you that my heart was like you know how you have an epiphany?
I do.
Right.
Let's go right now, God. Okay.
Man, when I got off that phone, I ran in the room where my mom was. I said, Mama, I think I met my husband. She said, what do he look like? I said, I don't know. And that's when she was like, go back and find out what he looked like. Just go find out. So I hadn't seen his face. I didn't know what he looked like. Sight unseen. And so I said, hey, can you send me a picture? And so he sent me a picture. When I saw that picture, I said, Lord, that's a fine black man right there. My
He didn't do it like that. All right, now you better get excited. He didn't say you're a fine black man like that. Now, all right.
Right. Because I was very specific. I said, because, I told you I had a fear of black men. So for a long time, I only dated white guys. I dated white guys, mixed guys, anybody but a black man. I even told the Lord, I ain't going to marry no black man. I ain't going to be with no black man.
Right.
But God fixed my heart in such a way where I forgave black men for what they did to me. So that way I could receive my king when he came to me. You know what I'm saying? And I re-feminized myself. I became more ladylike and less masculine. You can be so independent so time you run a good man away. These young ladies don't understand that. Don't be
What you
so
gonna do?
independent.
How they do
Right.
in church? They throw the offering. You better preach it.
Right. Don't
Right.
be so independent and so masculine that you don't let the man wear the pants. Let the man wear the pants. That's how God created it. And what God creates is perfect. I was that girl that was walking around. I don't need no man. I don't need it. I don't need. That was me. And God just switched everything about me. So by the time I met this king, I was soft. I even said to him, I said, if my man is following the Lord, then I so shall follow him. I will submit without any problem or question. And
That's
so, right. And so when my mom realized, like, when she saw how I acted toward this man, she said, I do believe that's her husband. Because she saw how I was acting. She saw how I was completely submissive to what he would say, because it was like he was my peace and I was his peace. Like anytime there was a storm somewhere, we were each other's peace. And so, God has a way of turning things around. And it just happened to be. And you ever hear that spirit where they be like, the Lord will give you the desires of your heart. He'll give you your needs. But sometimes he'll give you your desires. And when I saw how that man looked, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. He looked like a supermodel done come off a runway,
for me.
and he,
All this for me.
yeah, you too. You're a model.
That's how you was when you looking like, oh, this is for me.
Right. Yeah. And so, it was just shocking. Like, wait, all this time the Lord actually did hear me. It sort of almost like sends you into like a tailspin, like, wait a minute. So all the times I prayed, he did hear me. All the times I thought he wasn't listening, he was listening to me. And so he showed it to me through what he put in front of me. And then the fact that he was sold out for the Lord, that was just a kicker. You know what I'm saying? No. But this is the weird part. Come to find out, he's all the way in another country. He's all the way in another country. And the Lord said, I put him on ministry. Yo, the Lord told me, he said, daughter, you are a prophet to nations. He said, I had to put your husband in a different country because I needed him to be kept so he would be good for you and you be good for him. I didn't want him to be raised like the people in America. I wanted him to be different. He has to be different because he's going to marry a prophet. And it was like, so you had to put him way over there. And the Lord said, yep. He said, and in due time, he's going to come over here. Y'all going to get married and y'all going to do my ministry. Wow. He said, y'all going to be around politicians. You're going to be around world leaders. You're going to be around all kinds of big churches and organizations because you are a prophet to the nations. And he is a man of God to the nations. Wow. It just all fit. It just all fit because from a young age, I had visions that I would meet a husband and that's when my big ministry would start. And I would travel the world and I would go to different countries and I would preach and I would lay hands. And this would happen when I met my husband. So now it's all like falling into place.
Right down the runway. It's just right there. You're on the landing strip right now. It's like
I'm on the runway strip now. I mean, what's that word they use for the planes? We in taxi. We taxing. Right. So we taxing right now. We on the edge of the runway. You know what I'm saying? We got a little bit more to go. But look at all I went through to get to that point. Right. And I want these women, these women gotta y'all gotta get out of this. I'm a twerk and I'm gonna show this and then be like, well, I can't find no good man. There are good men, but they don't want no woman out there showing every other man what they got. They don't want that. A real king wants a woman that respects herself and loves herself enough to know what she deserves and enough to know who she is. Yeah. And he don't want no woman that belittles him. We got to stop that. First of all, as Black women, we got to stop belittling our Black men. We got to stop that. You ain't this, you ain't that, you a BITC. Why would you talk to a king that way? Right. Why? And then get mad when he says something back. Humble yourself and it'll humble him. You know what I'm saying? We got to change our patterns. If we change our patterns, we can change the world. You know what I'm saying?
That's real right there. That's real right there. You're talking real. And the thing is, right? You're in the ministry. You're speaking powerful, right? You telling them, Like, this is not something that I heard. I
No.
went through this. I went
Right.
through, I had to go through some storms. I had to go through some valleys. But the whole time, God protected me. Even when I was a kid,
Yeah.
when they shot at the house, they were shooting at somebody else. Protected
Right.
me and my sister. I grew up. I wound up, living a thug life a little bit.
Yeah.
You protected me from that. Brought me through all this.
Right.
I still wasn't ready. Live a little bit more. Go through life a little bit more. Had some things that, no woman should go through happen to you.
Right.
Go through that. God heals you.
Right.
Says, yo, I just want you to live for me. Do my will. You say, all right, God, I'm at the end of my rope. I'm selling out. I give up. I can't, I'm gonna follow you.
Done.
You tell me to go.
Done.
I'm going.
Look, you know how they say, go up to the altar and get prayed for. I went to a church where this powerful prophet was speaking, and the Lord led me there. He said, I want you to go to this church. He said, that prophet, he gonna pull you out of the crowd and he gonna ask you something. You answer him with what you're supposed to say. And like clockwork, went to this church. The man literally, I was hiding behind people, and the man pulled me out the crowd. He said, ma'am, you stand up. He made me get in the aisle. He said, raise your hands. I was scared. He said, raise your hands. And then he said, the Lord spoke to you and told you to come to this church. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, you had a conversation with the Lord. You said, if the Lord just gave you a husband, you do whatever he wants. You would die for him. You would live for him. You just wanted a husband and you wanted a family. And I said, because I've not told anyone but my mom this.
Right.
And I said, yeah. So by this time I'm crying. He said, you done ran the streets. You done partied all you could, but you still couldn't find yourself because your true self is with Christ. Right. He said, is any of this making sense? And I was like, yes. He said, you've been having visions since you was a little girl. You've been seeing things since you're little. He said, well, you about to really see something now. He said, put your hands up. He said, are you ready to receive what you asked for? He said, you ready to put your life on the line for the call? And I literally was terrified because in my head, I knew that this was it. This was going to be the point where now I got to walk in this thing for real. And so I walked down the aisle, and he, old school prophets, we tend to blow. Okay, that's how it was done in old school. Boy, they blow on you and you out. They don't even got to touch you. Right. This man started blowing on me, and I felt like this hot heat come all over my body. And I remember passing out. And when I was out, I saw angels. And then the angels said to me, it was a bunch of them. They was in this canyon. It looked like the Grand Canyon almost. And they were talking, and they had all these lists. They were lists, and they had words on them. And it was names. It was like lots and lots and lots of names. And the angels were talking and said, oh, this is her list. And they passed it back, and they passed it back, and they passed it to me. And I saw these names, and they said, oh, yeah, those are the names of the people you got to reach before your time. Wow. And I was like, I got to reach these people? And it was like, yeah, these are the people you got to reach. That's your assignment. We'll send somebody with you. And I remember it was this beautiful angel. She came from behind another angel, and she had beautiful, striking, it looked like it was like reddish, fiery hair, but she had a sword on her back. She had a shield on her side, and she walked up to me, and she got super close, and literally it was like she jumped inside of me. Wow. And that's the last thing I remember, this angel going inside of me. And so I don't remember anything until when I woke up out of it. I got up off the floor, and I turned around, and I was looking at the church, and I was sort of struck. And I said, where did everybody go? And I seen one lady laying on the floor. I seen another dude, he was slain in the spirit, like laying sort of near the bathroom doors. Right. And all the chairs were all over the place. The chairs were everywhere. And I go and I walk sort of further up where the other ministers are standing. And I look out into the churchyard, and all the church people are sitting on the lawn. Wow. And I said, what happened in here? And the prophet turned around and looked at me. He said, Miss Winston, you happened in here. Wow. I said, what are y'all talking about? And that's when everybody started telling me what took place. There's like when he blew on you, you passed out, you were out for a while, and you were speaking in like angelic language because
Right.
none of us could understand what kind of tongue it was. It was like it was angelic. And
Right.
then it was like you got up. There was a woman that's been in this church for a long time, and she had a lot of spirits. You went to her, you laid hands on her, she passed out. You went laid hands on this dude, he passed out. You went to this couple, they passed out, and I don't remember any of that. I don't remember God doing any of that.
Right.
And so I was just like, God, if God is going to use me like this to clear a church, imagine what he can do when I'm completely sold out for him. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Imagine what God is going to do for me when I'm doing that. Yes. I'm on the radio. I'm on the radio. Okay, I'll come in there. Okay, well, bring Feather. Bring Feather to me. Okay, bring Feather to me. She talking about my dog.
Nah, it's all good. I was gonna say that, yo, we getting so good into it. When can you come back up? Because we need to do a part 2 for this.
Oh, okay. Anytime. I'm usually free like on Fridays, Thursdays in the evening times, and then like Saturdays. Sometimes I'm free on Saturdays in like the morning hours. That's when I'm doing that. Yeah.
All right, let's set it. If not this weekend, let's set it for next. Let's look at our calendars. You can inbox me when we get off, and then let's
sure.
let's try and do it for either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Right. I can inbox you and let you know which day, because I got some things going on this weekend, but I can definitely inbox you when the next time, and I want to say next Thursday might be okay, but I'll go look in my calendar.
Because I definitely want to bring you up here. I don't want to rush it. We're going on 3 hours, and I know it's getting good. And I definitely never want to rush God. I never want to rush God.
Right, yeah. No.
I definitely want to make sure we take our time. So I definitely would like to bring you back.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Let me look. Hold on. I'm looking right now. It's probably going to be the following week. Not this week coming up. It's probably going to be the week after. You busy around the 9th?
Yep. Thursday around the 9th. It should be fine. Same time?
No, Thursday on the 9th. Like not this following week coming up in 2 weeks.
Okay.
September 9th.
September 9th. Okay.
Yeah,
at 8.
That's a Thursday at 8.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to put it in my calendar. Just remember where we stopped off.
Right. We're going, yeah, definitely. I remember because the video is going to be live. It's going to be on YouTube and Facebook. So I definitely be looking at it again. And I just want to take it from there, because when we start talking about ministry, you have a calling. Right. And it's like I don't want to mix it with the past. That was your past.
Right.
That was your testimony.
Right.
So we can end it here. When we come back, this is who you are in God. This is where I'm going. Right.
Oh, absolutely. We ain't even talked about the stuff going on in churches, and we ain't even got to that yet.
Right. So so what we'll do is we'll set that to the side. We'll lock a date in, and then we'll put 2 to 3 hours to the side so we can get into that, because now we're talking ministry. That's a whole nother ball game of this part. This is what led you to the calling. Now we're about to get into the meat.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So before we go, definitely I'm gonna put you so they can follow you. We definitely gonna have you back. We're gonna confirm the date. I'll put it in the comments for the people that's watching.
Yeah, please do. And thank y'all for watching. I don't know who's been on here for a long time watching the whole thing, but thank you. God bless y'all.
Yeah, definitely to God be the glory again. So I got your social media up here, and I definitely ping that in the comments, and I'll put the new date when we confirm it after we get off.
Okay. I'm gonna go in there the 9th. I'm gonna put it in there 9th at 8 p.m. I got it.
Okay. Yeah, and I definitely appreciate you for coming up here again. Thanks to everybody watching. Be sure to tune in for the part 2, because we're just getting started. God is doing a great thing. We definitely excited about what he's about to do. So we definitely don't want to try to speed that in 15, 20 minutes.
No, you don't.
Right. So we definitely want to, we're going to continue that. And I thank you again for coming up here. Definitely enjoyed it. I definitely know that God's going to get the glory out of it. And I pray that somebody hears something, their eyes be open so that they don't have to stay out there. A lot of times we stay out there too long. Well, God got to break us down all the way down. Where it's like,
right.
Come on.
That's what he did with me. He brought me all the way down. You know what I'm saying? I try to help people now, like, look, don't go through what I went through. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to give you the fast track. Don't do what I did. Do the opposite of that. And so God can use you greater for a lot longer period of time. You know what I'm saying? So, they just need to know. They need to know.
And that's dope right there. So we're going to set the date. We're going to put that in the comments, and then we'll definitely do the flyer again, and we'll let people know. so we can get them in here. And I definitely appreciate your testimony. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest and everything that God's going to do for you, because you do have a ministry. So when the people come in, I'm pretty sure he's going to send some people that you're going to have a word for. Next show, we're going to jump right all the way. We're going to jump right all the way into the ministry. Next, we come in. I might even have a praise singer set it up for you.
Okay, that sounds good to me, because you know what I'm saying, like a lot of times I'll get into something and some platforms will not allow me because some of them are not, you know, spiritually based, or they don't have that in them, so they have to stop what they're doing because it's, you know, it goes against something that they're doing with their media. But there are some that are like, no, you come up here, you just do do it.
So, and it's needed. It's definitely needed. It's definitely needed.
Right.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that again, yo. Hopefully the sooner the better. So like we can set that 9th date if that'd be good. If not, we'll try and find something that'll work before then, because I don't want it to be like a month out. I want it while we
No. Yeah. That was COVID. That was COVID.
No. God defeated COVID. We still got the victory, and he's still here. And you know, definitely to God be the glory. So if you got any shout outs right quick for the first part, and then we'll join them again on part 2.
Well, right now, I just want, to thank you for giving me a chance to have a platform where I could finally just get my testimony in its fullness, get it all the way out, because I've never given it in its fullness. And because of what's going on with me, because of what happens with my health, I'd rather have a record of it than not have a record of it, because I just wanted to help somebody. So I'm really, really appreciative to you for allowing me to get that testimony out to people.
That's real. And it's a powerful testimony. And I know God is going to use you in a mighty way. And I'm not just saying that. Knowing you in the beginning. Not the very beginning, but I know you when you was modeling. You was out there big time. You was big time out there. See the transformation, right? It's a beautiful thing. And I salute you on that, because it's like it's needed. We're not getting no younger. It's like, we were celebrating the wrong things when we was younger. We didn't know no better.
Right.
Now we're at the age now. Now we're at an age now where we know everything that you're doing, the sacrifice you're making for God, the carrying your cross, is all going to pay off. It's going to pay off not only for you, for the community, for young girls, and your afterlife is going to be set. And it's like he said, seek me first.
Right.
And then I give you the desires of your heart. So it's like you went through. You said this ain't happened overnight. 13 years.
No. Yeah, it took a long time. It took a very long time. And then, while all of this is going on, there was a transformation of me learning my gifts. So that's something that we can also cover, sort of like, because as I'm going through all these processes, going through homelessness, going through being on the street, my gifts are still working. They're still working. They're still growing. And I'm learning who God has created me to be. So that was a process all by itself as well. So,
So we're definitely going to do a boot camp next time. So we're going to bring them through it. We're going to continue on from here. Give them the boot camp, and then we're going to launch right into deliverance and your gifts.
Right. And that definitely is something people are going to need to hear, because they need to be aware of these spirits that's out here that, are attached to them, so that they don't, take it home to their families, take it home to their kids, or either it could be a lot going on in somebody's house and they're like, why is my house like this? Why is there so much craziness in my house? It's a spirit wreaking havoc in your house. So a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it again. Thank you again. Salute to everybody that tuned in. Yo, this is Chynadahl Malandie in the building. This is the Proof in the Pudding podcast show, and I go by the name of Sion 919. We thank everybody for watching part 1. Remember, it's going to be a part 2, so this is not the end. We're just taking a break, and we'll be back in a week or 2. So definitely be on the lookout for part 2. Again, this is Chynadahl Malandie in the building. We thank you, and salute to everybody that tuned in. We love y'all. Have a blessed week.
Love you.
Thank y'all again.
God bless you.
God bless you.